your eyes play tricks on you. Have you ever looked at something, really looked, and then a moment later realized it wasn't quite what you thought? Maybe a shadow seemed like a person, or a distant tree looked like an animal. Our eyes are amazing tools, but they don't just see the world as it is. Here's the thing. Our eyes gather light, sure, but it's our brain that builds the picture. It takes all those signals and tries to make sense of them, often filling in gaps or making educated guesses. And sometimes, those guesses are just a little bit wrong. For a long time, thinkers and philosophers have wondered about this. Even ancient Greek thinkers like Plato questioned if what we saw was truly real, or just a reflection, like shadows on a cave wall. They knew our senses could be fooled. This isn't about being tricked on purpose. It's about how our very own bodies work. It's about perception, the way we experience the world around us. Think about a mirage you might see on a hot road, looking like a puddle of water far away. You can almost feel the heat shimmer, but as you get closer, it vanishes. Your brain, trying to make sense of the shimmering air and light bending, creates the image of water. It's not actually there, but your eyes and brain are so convinced. Or consider how, if you stare at a bright color for a long time, then look away, you might see its opposite color floating in your vision. These are not flaws. They are simply how our human vision system interprets light and color. So if our eyes, something we rely on so much, can create things that aren't there, or miss things that are, what does that mean for our idea of reality? It tells us that what we see is deeply personal. Each of us is building our own unique version of the world, moment by moment, in our minds. It's a reminder that reality isn't just out there waiting to be seen. It's also in here, shaped by the very way we look. And that's pretty profound when you think about it. That dress was blue, right? Do you remember that dress? The one that broke the internet? For some, it was clearly blue and black. But for others, it was just as clearly white and gold. Two completely different colors, seen by millions of people, all looking at the exact same image. And that's where things get really interesting, and a little bit deep. Here's the thing. Our brains work hard to make sense there, or mostly in here, inside our heads. They questioned if everyone experienced the same red of an apple, or the same warmth of the sun. The dress wasn't just a funny internet moment. It was a real-life, massive experiment proving that what one person sees as solid truth, another might see as something else entirely. Think about how two friends might watch the exact same movie. One friend thinks it's the funniest thing ever, laughing at every joke. The other might find it completely boring, not getting any of the humor. They saw the same scenes, heard the same lines, but their inner experience, their reality of that movie, was totally different. The dress makes us pause and consider something profound. If our basic perception of color can be so different, what else might be? It makes you wonder how much of what we call reality is just our own brain's unique way of putting the pieces together. Maybe the world isn't fixed, but rather, a little bit different for each of us. Hearing things no one else hears. Have you ever been in a quiet room certain you heard a faint whisper, or maybe your name being called? You look around but no one else heard it. It was just you. What does that mean for what's real? Here's the thing. Our ears catch sound waves, but our brain decides what those waves mean. Sometimes our brains create sounds that aren't truly there for anyone else. We call these auditory hallucinations. This isn't always about being sick. It can be like when your brain fills in missing information, or plays tricks when you're tired, or expecting something. It shows how our minds can paint their own picture of the world, sound by sound. For ages, people saw this as a sign from spirits or gods. Ancient cultures believed voices heard alone were messages from another realm. Philosophers, though, wondered if we can ever truly know what others hear. They asked, if I hear a bell and you don't, is the bell real in the same way for both of us? Or is our reality of that bell different? This shows how personal our experiences are. Think about when you're expecting a text message. Your phone is silent, but you swear you felt it vibrate in your pocket. That's your brain creating a sensation based on what it's anticipating. Or imagine hearing music in the rhythm of a train on the tracks, while someone next to you. Why food tastes different to everyone. Have you ever sat down to eat with someone and what tasted amazing to you was just okay to them? Or even worse, what you loved, they couldn't stand. Think about something simple like cilantro. For some, it's a burst of fresh green flavor, but for others, it tastes exactly like soap. Why does food, which seems like a solid, real thing, change so much depending on who's eating it? Here's the thing. Taste isn't just in the food itself. It's also deeply personal, happening inside your own body and mind. Each of us has taste buds on our tongue that pick up different chemicals in food. These chemicals send signals to our brain, but everyone's taste buds are a little bit different, and everyone's brain interprets those signals in its own way. So the experience of a strawberry or a slice of pizza is truly unique for each person. People have probably wondered about this for thousands of years. Even ancient thinkers, long before microscopes or genes were discovered, must have noticed how different people liked different foods. They didn't have the science we do, but they knew that what delighted one person might make another grimace. It was clear that people had their own ways of seeing the world, even when it came to what they put in their mouths. Take that cilantro example again. Scientists now know that whether cilantro tastes like soap or not often comes down to a tiny difference in a specific gene. This gene affects how you smell certain chemicals in the plant. If you have one version, cilantro is delicious. If you have another, your brain might interpret those chemicals as something bitter and soapy. And that's just one example. Our early life experiences, our culture, and even our mood in the moment can also shape how food tastes to us. So when you think about it, even something as basic as eating is a powerful reminder that our reality is not fixed. It's not just out there waiting to be discovered the same way by everyone. Instead, it's a living, breathing thing, shaped by our unique biology, our memories, and even invisible parts of our DNA. What we taste, what we feel, what we know to be true, all of it passes through the filter of who we are. It's a quiet wonder, really, how truly individual our world can be. The smell that brings back memories. Have you ever noticed how a certain smell can instantly pull you back to a different time, a different place? It's like a key unlocking a forgotten room in your mind. Maybe it's the scent through the thinking part of your brain. It goes straight to the feeling and remembering part. This special pathway is why a scent can feel so immediate and strong, bypassing logic and bringing back a flood of vivid details you didn't even know you remembered. Philosophers and thinkers for centuries, long before we had MRI machines, have wondered about this. They knew that our senses were powerful, shaping how we experience the world. But the way smell works, almost like a secret passage to the past, has always fascinated people. It shows us that reality isn't just happening now, in front of our eyes. Our personal reality is also made up of echoes, of moments held carefully by our senses. Consider the unique smell of rain after a dry spell, that earthy, clean scent. For some, it might bring back summer days playing outside. For others, it could be the quiet comfort of being indoors on a stormy afternoon. The rain itself is just water, but the smell carries a whole universe of personal experiences and feelings. It's a reminder that our connection to the world isn't just about the present moment. It's also about how our past lives within us, ready to be called forth by something as simple and profound as a scent. It shows us that what we call reality is deeply woven with our own stored memories and feelings. Remembering things that never happened. Have you ever remembered something so clearly, felt it in your bones, only to discover it never happened at all? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Like a piece of your own story suddenly vanishes, or a new, untrue piece appears. Here's the thing. Our brains are incredible storytellers, but sometimes the stories they tell about our past aren't perfectly true. Our memories don't just record things like a video camera. Instead, memories are built, piece by piece, each time we recall them. And in that building process, details can get added, changed, or even entirely made up. For a long time, people believed memory was like a perfectly organized library, where every book was exactly as it was written. But scientists and psychologists have learned that our memory is much more active and creative. It fills in gaps. It tries to make sense of incomplete information, even if it has to invent some details to do so. This is how our mind tries to create a smooth, understandable story of our lives. Think about sitting with your family, maybe talking about it. Always a fixed, solid thing. It's fluid, always being revisited and sometimes reshaped. Our brains are constantly shaping our perception of reality. even the reality of what has already occurred. It means that what we consider real isn't just out there waiting to be seen. It's also being built, moment by moment, inside our very own minds. So when we question our memories, we start to understand how deep the work of our own mind truly goes. Your memories change every time. Do you have a favorite memory? One you're sure you remember exactly every tiny detail in its perfect place? You might think of it like a video stored in your brain, always ready to be played back. But here's the surprising thing. That's not how memory works at all. Our brains don't save memories like perfect video files or recordings. Instead, every time you remember something, your brain actually rebuilds it from pieces. And when it rebuilds, it can change a little. New feelings, new things you learn, even just the mood you're in, can suddenly color that memory. People have wondered about this for a long time. Ancient thinkers knew our minds played tricks. Later, scientists started to show how memory works, not like a camera simply taking a picture, but more like a sculptor. This sculptor constantly reshapes the clay, adding a bit here, smoothing a bit there, each time the memory is called upon. Think about a school event, like a big assembly or a class trip. You remember the main parts, the fun, maybe a funny moment. But years later, you might talk to a friend who was there. They tell you about something you totally forgot, or a detail you didn't notice. Suddenly, your memory of that day might shift a bit. You might even start to remember that new detail, even though you hadn't before. Your brain smoothly adds it in, making it part of your own past. So what does this tell us? It means our past isn't a fixed picture. It's more like a story we keep telling ourselves, and each time we tell it, it can change a bit. Our personal reality, the story of our lives, is always being shaped by the very act of remembering. It makes you wonder how truly real any moment from our past truly is. Our memories aren't just things we have, they are part of what we are always becoming. Why two people see the same fight differently. Have you ever wondered why, after an argument or a big moment, two people right there saw it completely differently? Strange, isn't it? Both experienced the event, heard the words, yet their stories don't quite match. This isn't just about forgetting. It gets to something deep about how our minds work. Here's the thing. Our brains are not video cameras. They don't just record what happens. Instead, every moment we live is filtered through our own unique lens. Think of what makes you, you. Your past, your feelings then, what you care about, your mood. All these things act like special glasses that tint what you see and hear. For hundreds of years, great thinkers from ancient Greek philosophers to modern scientists explored this. They knew reality isn't just out there, waiting to be perfectly captured. We each help create our own version of it. Imagine two friends watching the same soccer game. One is a huge home team fan, hoping they win. The other doesn't care. When a controversial call happens, the fan sees a clear foul, feeling angry. The other might see it as fair or not even notice. They both saw the same players, the same ball, but their inner worlds shaped what they truly saw. So when people argue about what really happened, it's often not about who's simply right or wrong. It's about seeing that each person's mind built its own version of that moment. Understanding this can help us be more patient, listen with more curiosity. It reminds us that what seems true to us might feel very different to someone else. It's a powerful thought. Our individual realities are shifting, colored by who we are. The story that changes with who tells it. Have you ever noticed how the same story sounds completely different depending on who is telling it? You might see something happen, and your friend sees it too, but you both remember it differently. Maybe you focus on one detail and they focus on another. That's because our reality isn't always a fixed fact. It's often shaped by our own eyes, our own memories, and our own feelings. For a long time, people have wondered about this. Ancient Greek thinkers questioned if what we see is the whole truth. They knew everyone has different experiences. Later, many wise people said each person builds their own picture of the world. So an event, like something from history, isn't just one clear story. It's a mix of memories and reports from those who were there. History books even get rewritten sometimes. New information comes out or we understand old events differently. Imagine you're in the school hallway. Someone bumps into another student and books go flying. One person saw the first student push the second on purpose. They might say, "That was so rude." But someone else saw the first student trip over their shoelace. They might say, Oh no, they just fell. The event was the same, books on the floor, but the story and its reason changed completely based on who saw it and what they focused on. This helps us remember something important. What we call reality isn't always a single perfect picture. It's more like many pictures. About it, it's a bit strange. Feeling cold when others are warm. Have you ever shivered in a room while someone right next to you is perfectly comfortable, maybe even sweating a little? It's a common moment, but if you really think about it, it's a bit strange. How can the same air, the same space, feel so completely different to two people? Here's the thing. Temperature isn't just a number on a thermometer. It's also how your brain interprets signals from your body. Your body has its own internal thermostat, working hard to keep you at a certain temperature. But everyone's thermostat is set a little differently, and it reacts to things like your metabolism, what you ate, or even how much sleep you got. For centuries, thinkers have wondered about this kind of thing. Ancient philosophers used to argue about whether colors truly exist outside our eyes, or if a sound really exists if no one is there to hear it. They understood that our senses can sometimes trick us, or at least show us a very personal version of reality. They knew that what one person experiences as warm might feel cool to another. Think about stepping into a cold swimming pool on a hot day. At first, it feels freezing. Your body tenses up. But after a few minutes, it starts to feel okay, even refreshing. The water didn't change temperature, but your perception of it did. Your body adjusted. Or imagine if you're sick with a fever. Even under blankets, you might feel freezing cold, even though your body temperature is actually high. Everyone else thinks the room is fine, but for you, it's an Arctic blast. So even something as simple and common as feeling warm or cold shows us that our reality isn't a single shared truth. It's deeply personal, shaped by our own unique bodies and minds. It's a quiet reminder that each of us lives in our own version of the world, even when we're standing right next to someone else.
Why jokes aren't funny to everyone. Have you ever told a joke you thought was hilarious, but no one else even cracked a smile? It's a strange feeling. One person laughs, another just stares. Humor isn't a solid thing everyone sees the same way. It lives inside each of our minds, shaped by what we've lived. What we find funny is deeply personal. It comes from our memories, our feelings, and how our brains are wired. Here's the thing. For centuries, thinkers wondered why we laugh. Ancient Greeks like Plato discussed humor. They saw it came from the unexpected, but they knew not everyone found the same things funny. Later, many thought humor was about letting go of tension. Still, the mystery remained. Why does one person's release look different from another's? Imagine you and your friends see a cat wearing sunglasses. You might find it silly and laugh. Maybe it reminds you of your own pet. Your friend, though, might not react. Perhaps they've seen many cat pictures, or don't have pets. The picture doesn't connect with their world. It's like different people hearing different notes in a song. Our brains filter information uniquely through our own personal lenses. So, when a joke doesn't land, it's not because the joke is broken. It's because the minds hearing it are built differently. Every mind is a universe. What brings joy to one might just be noise to another. This shows how our reality, even a simple laugh, comes from our personal view of the world. It's a quiet reminder that what's true for me might not be true for you, and that's perfectly okay. The power of believing something. Have you ever stopped to think about how much your beliefs shape your world? It's a deep question, I know, but here's the thing. What we truly believe, deep down inside, isn't just some idea floating in our heads. It's like a hidden force that can actually change what we see, what we feel, and even what happens to us. This isn't magic. It's something about how our minds work. For a long time, people have wondered about this. Ancient thinkers, way back when, saw that if someone really, truly believed in something like a healer's touch or a special charm, they often saw real changes. It made them feel better, or even recover from sickness. It was as if their belief alone was a powerful medicine. This idea isn't just old philosophy. Modern science has found something similar, and it's called the placebo effect. Here's how it works. Imagine someone is sick, but instead of getting real medicine, they get a sugar pill. They don't know it's a sugar pill though. They believe it's the actual medicine that will make them better. And sometimes, amazingly, they do get better. Their pain might lessen. Their symptoms might disappear. Not because of any chemical in the sugar pill, but purely because their mind, fueled by belief, somehow tells their body to heal. Their reality, their physical state, changed because of what they believed. It's a powerful idea, isn't it? It means our own thoughts, our core beliefs, hold a silent, incredible power to shape our experience. It tells us that what we hold true in our minds can reach out and touch the world around us, making our reality bend a little to fit what we expect. So, think about what you believe, because in many ways, that's what you are building. How your mood changes the world. Have you ever stopped to wonder if the world really looks the same to everyone, all the time? What if how you feel inside actually changes the very colors and sounds you experience around you? Here's the thing. Your mood acts like a powerful filter, coloring everything you see, hear, and touch. The outside world might stay exactly the same, but your inner world shifts how you experience it. It's like putting on different colored glasses. The world doesn't change, but everything looks different through the new lens. Thinkers for thousands of years have explored this deep idea. Ancient philosophers often talked about how our minds shape our reality, making it personal. They understood that what truly bothers us isn't always the event itself, but how we choose to think about it. This old idea suggests our feelings are not just reactions, but active creators of our lived experience. Imagine a sunny Saturday morning. If you woke up feeling fantastic, ready for adventure, that sunlight might feel warm and bright, cheering you on. Birds chirping sound like a happy song. You might even smile for no reason, just because the world feels good. But what if you woke up feeling grumpy or sad? That same sunlight might seem too harsh, almost glaring. The birds' chirps might sound annoying, and everything just feels a bit off, a little heavy. The world outside didn't change, but your world did. Your mood made a sunny day feel completely different. This isn't just about feeling good or bad. On any given day, it's a deep truth about how our minds truly work. Our emotions aren't just passing feelings. They are powerful lenses that shape our personal reality, moment by moment. Understanding this can help you see why someone else might react so differently to the exact same situation. And it helps us realize that a big part of our reality is actually created right inside our own heads. It makes you think, doesn't it, about how much power our inner state truly holds over our everyday experience, and how much it shapes the world we believe we live in. Seeing ghosts where others see nothing. Have you ever looked at something and seen one thing, while someone next to you saw something totally different? Maybe you saw a familiar face in the clouds, but your friend just saw a cloud. Or perhaps you felt a chill, heard a whisper, and were convinced something was there, even when no one else noticed. This feeling, seeing ghosts where others see nothing, points to something deep about how our reality is built. Our brains are incredible storytellers. They don't just record the world, they interpret it, fill in gaps, and create meaning. For centuries, people across cultures have spoken of spirits or signs only they could perceive. Think about ancient stories where spirits lived in trees. These weren't just simple beliefs. They were how people experienced their world, shaped by culture and personal expectations. Their minds truly made these unseen things real for them. It's a bit like when you're sleepy in a coat on a chair looks exactly like a person for a split second. Your brain makes it into a person. Or consider what scientists call paradox. That's when your brain sees patterns or faces in random things, like a smiley face in car headlights. It's not magic. It's your brain searching for familiar shapes and connecting dots that aren't there. Your mind forms a clear image from a vague input, a ghost of a pattern dot. So when we see things others don't, it doesn't mean we're wrong. It means our internal world, with its memories, fears, and hopes, acts like a filter. What we perceive is not just the world outside, but the world as colored by us. Our reality, in these moments, becomes incredibly personal, a unique painting only our eyes can fully appreciate, even if the canvas looks blank to everyone else. It reminds us that our personal experience is truly our own. Dreams that feel totally real. Have you ever woken up from a dream, heart pounding, convinced that what just happened was truly real? For a few seconds, or even minutes, the vivid images and intense emotions from your dream world feel as solid as the bed you're lying in. Maybe you were flying, or late for something important, or having a deep talk with a friend. Then, slowly, the impossible details surface. You realize it was just a dream, but for a moment, that dream was your reality. This feeling isn't new. People have wondered about it for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers, like the Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi, even asked if we might be dreaming right now. He once dreamt he was a butterfly, fluttering happily. When he awoke, he wasn't sure if he was Zhuangzi dreaming of a butterfly, or a butterfly now dreaming of Zhuangzi. It's a deep question, isn't it? If a dream can feel so real, how do we truly know our waking life isn't just another, more consistent dream? Here's the thing. Our brains are powerful storytellers. Think how a movie can make you cry or cheer, even though you know it's not real. Your brain processes the images and sounds. Your emotions follow. Dreams are like a superimmersive movie playing inside your head, with all your senses engaged. While you sleep, your brain creates a whole world, filling it with people, places, and feelings. And it makes it feel utterly present. You don't question it while you're in it. You just are there. So the next time you wake from a dream that felt incredibly real, pause for a moment. Think about how your own mind built that world. It reminds us that what we call reality isn't always as solid as we believe. Sometimes, it's a creation of our mind, whether we're awake or asleep. And that's why it matters. It teaches us to look closer at what we assume is true, and to wonder about the hidden depths of our own experience. The way your mind fills in the blanks. Have you ever noticed how your brain doesn't need all the pieces to see the whole picture? When you look at something, your eyes don't catch every detail, yet you rarely feel confused. Your mind constantly guesses, predicts, and fills in what's missing. It's like a detective, always connecting the dots, even when some aren't truly there. This idea isn't new. Philosophers have wondered about it for ages. Back in ancient Greece, thinkers like Plato talked about how our senses can trick us. He believed our everyday experience was like watching shadows on a cave wall, not seeing true reality. Later, John Locke, in the 17th century, suggested our minds are like a blank slate at birth. Everything we know comes from our experiences, but even then, our brains actively make sense of them, not just recording them. Here's an example. Imagine walking home. You see a cat disappear behind a bush. You saw only its tail for a second, but your brain automatically knows it was a whole cat, not just a floating tail. You didn't see the whole animal. Your mind completed the image. Or think about reading a sentence even if a few letters are missing. Your mind quickly puts them in place. This helps us move through the world quickly, but it also means our reality is often a clever guess, not always the truth. So, the world you experience isn't just what your senses pick up. It's a rich picture created by your brain, full of assumptions. We often see what we expect, or what makes the most sense to us, even if the information is incomplete. This makes you wonder how much of what you know is really seen, and how much is just your mind expertly coloring outside the lines. It's a reminder that what seems real can be shaped by our own internal world. Why the same song sounds different to you. Have you ever listened to a song that everyone else loves, but it just doesn't hit you the same way? Or maybe a song you once loved now feels totally different to you. It's kind of strange, right? That actual music, the notes and rhythm, they haven't changed at all. So what's truly going on here? Here's the thing. Our experience of reality isn't just about what our ears or eyes take in. It's also about what's happening inside us. Thinkers for centuries have quietly known this. They understood that what we feel, what we remember, and even what we expect, all mix with the sounds we hear. It's not just the sound waves hitting your eardrum. It's those waves meeting your personal history, your mood, your unique brain. Imagine a song you heard a lot when you were little. Maybe it played at a family party or during a tough time. Years later, when you hear that same song, it doesn't just sound like music. It might bring back the smell of grandma's cookies, or the feeling of being nervous before a big test. The actual notes are the same, but for you, they carry a whole world of memories and feelings. This is because your brain is connecting the sound to emotions and past events, creating a personal meaning. So, when you and a friend listen to the exact same song, you're not actually hearing the same song. You're both hearing a unique version, filtered through your own life stories. This reminds us that our personal reality is woven from more than just outside information. It's also made from our inner world, our feelings, and our past. Each of us lives in a slightly different world, shaped by our own mind. And that's why something as simple as a song can show us how wonderfully subjective reality can be. It's a quiet truth, playing out in every note. Thinking a week went by fast. Have you ever had a whole week just disappear? One moment it's Monday, and then suddenly it's Friday again. It feels like the days just sped up, right? This happens to everyone. But here's the thing. The clock didn't actually speed up. Each second, minute, and hour was exactly the same length. So, why did it feel faster? This is where our minds come in. Time isn't just a steady march of seconds. Our brains play a huge role in how we sense it passing. When you're doing something new, exciting, or even a little bit scary, your brain processes a lot more information. Think about your first day at a new school. Every new hallway, every new face, every class felt like a big discovery. Time might have seemed to slow down because you were taking in so much. But what about when things become routine? When you're doing the same things every day, like walking a familiar path or sitting through a class you know well, your brain doesn't have to work as hard. It's not recording many new details. This is what makes time seem to speed up. It's like watching a movie you've seen many times. You already know what happens, so it feels like it's over really fast. People have wondered about this for a very long time. They realized that time isn't just numbers on a clock. It's also a deeply personal experience. Even brilliant scientists, like Albert Einstein, showed that time can truly stretch or shrink. That's a big idea. Our daily lives show us this too. Our internal sense of time truly changes, so when a week seems to fly by, it's not because reality itself sped up. It's because of how your mind was interacting with that reality. Your brain might have been on autopilot, not seeking new things. This tells us something important. What we pay attention to, and how much newness we experience, changes our perception of even basic things like time. It makes us quietly wonder how much of what we call reality is actually built inside our own heads. When time slows down for you, have you ever been in a moment where everything just seemed to stretch out? Like a second felt like a whole minute, or even longer. Maybe you were startled, or in a sudden, intense situation. It's like the world pauses, just for you. This strange feeling isn't just your imagination. It's a real way our minds can experience time. Long ago, thinkers wondered if time was truly fixed. Was it like a steady river, or did it change for each person? Some believed time was something our minds created, a way to simply organize events. For them, time wasn't just a clock, it was a personal, shifting feeling. And here's the thing, they were onto something. Think about playing a sport, like baseball. If a ball flies right at your face, you might feel like you have all the time in the world to react. You see the seams, the spin, every tiny detail. Or imagine you almost tripped downstairs. For that split second, the fall feels incredibly long. You might feel like you have extra time to catch yourself. Your memory of it is full of details, like it lasted much longer. Scientists say your brain isn't actually slowing time down. But here's what happens. In moments of high stress or extreme focus, your brain just takes in way more information. It's like your mind records at a super high speed. When you play that memory back later, all those extra details make it feel incredibly long, like time truly stretched. This helps us see something deep about reality. If time can stretch and shrink inside our heads, it means our personal experience isn't always how the world is. Your reality, in that moment, feels different. It reminds us that our own story of time is a very real part of what we live through. And that's why it matters. Our minds have a hand in shaping our own experience of time. The colorblindness puzzle. Imagine seeing the world differently, not just a little, but deeply. What if the color red to you wasn't red to someone else? We often assume everyone sees colors the same way. But here's the thing, they don't. For some people, certain colors look totally different. This isn't a trick, it's how their eyes and brains work. It's called colorblindness. Someone with red-green colorblindness, for instance, might see a red apple as a muted brown or dull yellow. They aren't faking it, their reality. Their experience of that color is simply built differently. For a long time, people thought colorblindness was just an error, something broken. But really, it makes us wonder about what red even is. Is it just a certain light wavelength, or is it the experience of seeing that light? Philosophers have pondered whether we can truly know what's inside another person's mind, or how they perceive the world. Colorblindness gives us a clear, everyday example of this deep question. It shows us that our senses are like personal filters, each one unique dot. Think about a traffic light. To most of us, the top light is clearly red and the bottom is green. We stop for red and go for green. But for someone with red-green color blindness, those two lights might appear very similar. perhaps just different shades of yellow or brown. They learned to tell them apart by their position, top or bottom, not just by the color itself. Or imagine painting a picture with a friend. You might pick up what you call a bright blue sky, while they see it as a dull grayish blue. Both of you hold the same paint, but the world inside your head sees it uniquely. This puzzle of color blindness gently reminds us that our personal reality is woven from our own unique senses. What you call blue is your blue, and what I call blue is my blue. We agree on the name, but the experience might be something truly private and unique. It makes us think about how much of our shared world is just an agreement, a common language, and how much is truly seen and felt differently by each of us. It's a quiet way to understand that reality isn't just out there for everyone to see the same way. It's also deeply personal, deeply inside you. What happens when you focus hard? Have you ever been so completely focused on something that the world around you just faded away? Maybe you were reading an amazing book, deep in a video game, or playing your instrument. The clock seemed to stop, sounds vanished, and thoughts about homework or chores simply didn't exist. For those moments, your reality was only the story, the game, or the music. Here's the thing. When you focus that hard, your mind isn't just concentrating, it's actively shaping your immediate world. It puts a spotlight on one thing and turns down the lights on everything else. What you see, hear, and even feel becomes completely centered on that one activity. This isn't just a modern idea. Even ancient thinkers, long ago, noticed how people who meditated, or artists lost in their craft, would enter a kind of different state. They saw how a person's deepest attention could change their experience of time and space. Modern science backs this up, showing how your brain literally filters out other information when you're deeply engaged. Think about someone playing a difficult level in a video game. Their eyes are glued to the screen, their fingers fly across the controller, and they might not even hear someone call their name from the next room. They're not being rude. In that moment, the game is their reality. The flashing lights, the sound effects, the challenge, that's all that exists. Everything else, the noise outside, the feeling of hunger, the time passing, it all becomes a blurred background, if it's there at all. So, if our minds can make the entire world fade by just focusing on one thing, what does that tell us about reality itself? It suggests that what we consider real isn't always a fixed thing outside of us. Sometimes, reality is shaped by where we choose to put our attention, by the powerful focus of our own minds. It's like your mind has a quiet superpower, able to bend what's real to you, even if just for a little while, just by paying extreme attention. How your expectations change things. Have you ever stopped to think about how much your own mind shapes what you experience? It's a quiet truth, often overlooked. What we expect to happen, what we believe is true, can actually bend the way things turn out for us. It's not magic, but a deep part of how our brains work, connecting our inner thoughts to our outer world. Here's the thing, our minds aren't just empty sponges soaking up information. They're more like active artists, adding color and shading to everything we see and feel. For thousands of years, people have wondered about this. Ancient thinkers would ask, do we truly see the world as it is, or do our thoughts always mix with it? They suspected that our own beliefs act like a lens, changing the view before it even fully reaches us. Think about a common idea in science called the placebo effect. This is a powerful example. Imagine someone is feeling sick, and a doctor gives them a sugar pill, telling them it's a strong new medicine. The person expects to get better, and often, they do. Their body actually starts to heal, releasing chemicals, not because of the sugar, but because of the strong belief and expectation of healing. Their mind's expectation directly influenced their body's reality. It's pretty amazing when you consider it so. What does this tell us? It suggests that our reality isn't just a fixed picture that we observe. Instead, it's a living, breathing thing, partly shaped by the quiet, powerful force of our own expectations. This means we hold a subtle power, a gentle influence over our own path. Understanding this might just make us more mindful of what we expect, and what quiet possibilities we allow into our lives, the place that feels different to everyone. Have you ever walked into a room, a familiar one, but it just felt different? Maybe your own bedroom, after a hard day, felt like a quiet refuge, or a school hallway, usually busy, but late at night, felt strange and empty. Here's the thing about places. They're not just physical spaces. they're also collections of feelings, memories, and ideas. What one person experiences can be totally different from another, even if they're standing in the exact same spot. Our minds don't just see a place, they interpret it, shape it, and even change it in our heads. Thinkers for a long time have explored this idea. Ancient philosophers wondered if we truly see the world as it is, or if our minds play a big role in creating what we see. Later, psychologists talked about how our past experiences and current emotions color our perception. So, a place isn't just there, it's also here, inside us. Imagine a busy train station. To someone running late, anxious about missing their train, that station might feel like a frantic, confusing maze. They notice the crowds, the rushing sounds. But for someone arriving home after a long trip, excited to see family, that same station might feel like a warm, welcoming gateway. They notice the smiles, the promise of comfort. The physical station is the same, but each person's inner world creates a completely different feeling, a different reality of that place. This shows us something deep. A single place can hold many truths, many realities, depending on who is experiencing it and how they feel. It means our personal journey, our thoughts and feelings, are constantly shaping the world around us. It's a quiet reminder that what we see and feel is always a mix of what's out there and what's inside us, and that makes the world a much more complex and perhaps more beautiful place. A fear that no one else gets. Have you ever felt a fear so real, so deep, that you just knew no one else could possibly understand it? Not just a common worry, but something specific, a feeling that lives only inside your head. It's a quiet, strange kind of loneliness, isn't it? This feeling touches on a big, old idea about reality. What if what feels utterly true to you isn't true for anyone else? What if the red I see, or the cold I feel, is completely different from what you experience, even if we both use the same words for it? This isn't just a fun thought experiment. Philosophers, people who spend their lives thinking about big questions, have wondered about this for centuries. Way back, thinkers like René Descartes asked, "How do I even know if anything outside my own mind is real?" He decided the only thing he could be sure of was that he was thinking. "I think, therefore I am," he said. Everything else, he realized, could just be a very vivid dream. Here's the thing. Think about a dream you've had, one where you're falling or flying, and the feeling is intensely real. Your heart races, your stomach drops, but then you wake up, and it's gone. Yet, the feeling was real while it lasted. Now, imagine a fear that sticks with you like that dream feeling. Maybe it's not a fear of spiders, but a deep, unsettling feeling about certain patterns, like holes grouped together, or a specific, silent hum that only you seem to hear, and it makes you feel deeply uneasy, but everyone else hears nothing. It's hard to explain, and even harder for others to truly grasp, because their brains don't process it the same way. So, when you face a fear or a feeling that feels uniquely yours, remember this. It shows how personal reality can be. Your inner world is a private, special place, built from your own unique experiences and perceptions. It's a quiet truth that we all carry, that our reality is shaped by our own minds, a one-of-a-kind universe, inside each of us. And that's pretty profound, if you think about it. The pain you feel, and no one else sees. Have you ever felt something so strongly, a deep ache or a sharp worry, but when you look around, no one else seems to notice? Or maybe they see you, but they can't possibly feel exactly what you're feeling. Here's the thing. Your inner world, your feelings, your pain, it's truly yours alone. No one else can step inside your mind and experience it the same way. This idea has puzzled thinkers for ages. Ancient Greek philosophers wondered if we could ever truly know what was inside another person's head. Later, a French philosopher named René Descartes wrestled with this. He famously said, "I think, therefore I am." He meant his thinking and feeling were real, undeniable. This suggests our own private thoughts and feelings are the most real things to us, in a way no one else can share. Think about it. Imagine you walk into a really cold room. You shiver. Someone else might walk in and say, "It's a bit chilly," but their experience isn't the same. Maybe they just ran a marathon. Your feeling of that cold is unique to your body. It's like a stomach ache. You know it hurts, but a friend can only sympathize. They can't feel your stomach ache. So, while we share a world, our personal way of seeing and especially feeling it remains our own private universe. It's a reminder that everyone carries their own unseen burdens, their own quiet joys. This can help you understand others better. Knowing their reality of a situation might be very different from yours, especially when it comes to feelings. And that's why empathy matters so much. We can't truly feel another's pain, but we can try to understand it from the outside, imagining a whole new world. Have you ever looked at something familiar, like your classroom or your street, and wondered if someone else sees it completely differently? Here's the thing. Our reality isn't just out there waiting for us to find it. Our minds play a huge role in building it. We take in bits of information, light, sound, touch, and our brains organize them, give them meaning. So, what we think is real, what we feel is true. It's often a picture painted by our own unique experiences and thoughts. For thousands of years, thinkers have asked about this. Ancient Greek philosophers, like Plato, explored ideas about shadows and true forms, wondering if what we see is just a faint copy of a deeper reality. Later, other thinkers suggested that maybe we can only ever know our own thoughts and feelings, not the world itself directly. It's like we're each inside our own personal movie, and sometimes the script changes without us even realizing it. Think about color. We see a red apple, but is red really in the apple? Or is red just how our brains interpret certain light waves? A dog, for example, sees the world in different colors than we do. Their red might be our grayish. So, the apple isn't red for everyone. It's red for us. Or consider a dream. When you're dreaming, it feels incredibly real, doesn't it? You might even be sad or scared, but then you wake up, and it's gone. What made it feel so real then, but not now? Your mind did, and that's why it matters. If our minds shape what's real, then imagining new possibilities, new ways of seeing the world, isn't just daydreaming. It's powerful. It means we have a quiet strength to build our own understanding, to perhaps even shift our reality. It reminds us that what seems solid and fixed might just be one way of looking, and that can be a truly wonderful thought, opening up endless ways to explore and understand not just the world, but ourselves. Why two witnesses tell different stories? Have you ever heard two people describe the exact same event, but their stories sound completely different? It's not always about someone lying. It's actually a really deep idea about how our minds work. Here's the thing. Our brains don't record memories like a video camera. We don't just store facts. Instead, our minds build a story around what we experience. We add our feelings, our past experiences, and what we expect to happen. So, what one person sees, another might interpret totally differently, even if they were standing right next to each other. Thinkers for thousands of years have talked about this. The ancient Greeks wondered if everyone saw the same truth. They understood that what feels real to one person might not feel real to another. Our personal lens shapes everything. It's not just about what happened, but how it felt, and what it meant to you. Imagine two students watching a basketball game. One student is a huge fan of the home team. The other really likes the visiting team. When a player from the home team makes a tricky shot, the home team fan might remember it as an amazing, clutch play. But the visiting team fan might remember it as a lucky shot, or even complain that the referee missed a foul. Both saw the same shot, but their loyalties and hopes changed how they remembered it. Their brains filled in the details based on what they wanted to see. So, when we hear different accounts of the same moment, it teaches us something important. It shows us that reality isn't just one solid thing for everyone. Each person holds their own unique version, shaped by their journey. It's a quiet reminder to be patient, to listen, and to understand that what seems obvious to us might look completely different through someone else's eyes. Our world is a tapestry of these individual truths woven together. The taste of that disgusting broccoli. Remember that time you had to eat broccoli and it tasted like the worst thing ever. But then, maybe someone else at the same table thought it was absolutely delicious. How can two people eat the exact same food and have such completely different experiences? This isn't just about liking or disliking something. It's a quiet moment that shows us something deep about reality itself. Here's the thing. The taste of that broccoli isn't actually in the broccoli. What happens is, tiny chemicals from the broccoli hit your tongue. Your taste buds then send signals to your brain. And your brain, in its amazing way, interprets those signals as a flavor: sweet, bitter, sour, or, in this case, disgusting. This entire process, from the signal to the interpretation, happens only inside your head. For a really long time, thinkers have looked at this. Ancient philosophers wondered if we truly see the world as it is, or just how our own minds show it to us. They asked if the real thing is out there, or if our senses build a unique version of it for each of us. It's like how you might hear a song and love it, while your friend just shakes their head and says it's awful noise. The sound waves are the same, but your brain's processing is completely different. This idea means that your reality, the smells, the sounds, the tastes you experience, is truly your own. It's built by your unique senses, your memories, even your mood. So, the disgusting taste of that broccoli isn't some universal truth floating around for everyone. It's your truth. It's a powerful reminder that much of what we call real, much of what we experience, isn't just out there waiting to be found. A big part of it is created right here, within each of us. Our minds don't just record reality. They actively shape it, moment by moment. Why some sounds annoy just you. Have you ever noticed how a certain sound can make your skin crawl, but the person next to you doesn't even flinch? Like nails on a chalkboard, or someone chewing loudly. It's not just you. This happens because what we hear isn't only about the sound waves hitting our ears. Our brain takes those waves and adds layers of meaning. It mixes them with our memories, our feelings, and even our past experiences. So, the same simple noise can be totally different for two different people. Your brain might tag a certain sound as a threat or simply annoying, while someone else's brain might just let it pass by. Thinkers for thousands of years have wondered about this. Ancient Greek philosophers, like Plato, explored how our senses might not show us the world exactly as it is, but rather how we perceive it. They knew that two people looking at the same thing, or hearing the same sound, might have completely different inner experiences. It's like we each have our own unique filter for reality, shaping what truly bothers us and what fades into the background. Imagine the sound of someone crunching ice loudly. For some, it's just background noise, but for others, that sound can create a real surge of irritation or even anger. This isn't because the sound itself is evil. It's because your brain has learned, over time, to connect that specific sound to a strong negative feeling. Maybe it reminds you of something, or maybe your brain is just wired to react intensely to certain patterns. Scientists are still figuring out exactly why this happens for some people and not others. And so, the world isn't just a collection of sights and sounds that are the same for everyone. It's a tapestry woven by each person's unique mind. Your annoyances, your joys, your calm moments, they're all colored by the deep, private way your brain processes the world around you. This makes your reality truly yours. A quiet, personal symphony no one else can truly hear in the same way. It's a reminder that everyone lives in their own version of reality, shaped by their own senses and inner workings. The book that changed your view. Have you ever read a book that just shifted something deep inside you? It's a strange feeling, like you knew one version of reality, and suddenly, another one appeared. This happens because books can truly show us that reality isn't always a fixed solid thing. It's not like a table that looks the same to everyone. Instead, our minds, our feelings, and our experiences can shape what we believe is real. People have thought about this for a very long time. Ancient thinkers wondered if what we see and touch is truly out there, or if our minds play a big part. Different cultures, even today, have totally different ideas about how the universe works and what matters most. These aren't just stories, they're deeply held ways of understanding existence. Here's the thing, each culture's reality makes perfect sense to them. Think about two friends watching the same online video, like a viral clip. One friend finds it hilarious, the other sees it as upsetting or even offensive. They both watched the exact same pixels, heard the exact same sounds, but their background, beliefs, and feelings made them experience that video in completely different ways. The reality of that video, how it felt, was subjective for each of them. A powerful book can do this for huge ideas. It can present a viewpoint so strongly that it helps you see the world from a new angle. It makes you pause and think, maybe what I thought was true is just my way of seeing it, and other valid ways exist. This doesn't mean nothing is real, or that everything is make-believe. It means reality is much richer and more layered than just your own understanding. It helps us grow more open and empathetic to how others experience life. How movies feel so real. Have you ever been totally lost in a movie, like really, truly forgot where you were for a few moments? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? One minute you're sitting on your couch, the next you're running through a jungle with a hero, or floating in space. How does a screen with moving pictures make us feel so much, make us believe so completely, even when we know it's not real? Here's the thing, our brains are designed to make sense of the world. For thousands of years, humans have told stories around fires or drawn pictures on cave walls. These stories weren't always true in a factual way, but they felt true in our hearts. When the very first movies were shown, people were amazed. They saw a train coming at them on screen, and some actually screamed, thinking it was real. They knew it wasn't, deep down, but their eyes and brains reacted as if it were. This shows how powerful images and sounds can be, how they can trick our senses. Think about a time you were dreaming. In your dream, everything feels completely real, right? The fear, the joy, the confusion. Only when you wake up do you realize it was just your mind playing tricks. Movies work a bit like that. Our brains focus so hard on the story, the sounds, the expressions on the actors' faces, that they sort of forget we're just watching. Your mind fills in the gaps. It reacts to the emotions on screen. So, if a character is scared, your heart might race a little. If they're laughing, you might smile. It's not magic. It's just your brain doing what it does best, making connections and creating meaning, and that's why it matters. This ability to get lost in a movie, to feel its reality, reminds us of something deep. Our own reality isn't just about what's physically there, it's also about what our minds create, what we focus on, what stories we choose to believe, even for a little while. It shows how powerful our own perception can be, shaping what feels real to us, moment by moment. Why artists see things differently. Have you ever looked at a painting of something you know, like a street or a face, and wondered why it looks so different from how you see it? Why does the artist sometimes use strange colors or twist shapes? It's usually not because they can't see well. It's because artists don't just look at the world, they feel it. They take what's outside and mix it with what's inside them, their memories, their emotions, their deepest thoughts. Here's the thing, our brains aren't just cameras. When we see something, our mind doesn't just record a picture. Instead, it builds an image from our past experiences, our mood, and what we expect. This idea isn't new. Philosophers for a long time have talked about how what we sense isn't perfectly real, but our own version. Even ancient thinkers questioned if we truly saw the world as it was, or just shadows. And modern psychology agrees, seeing is an active process, not passive. Our brains filter and shape everything. Think about a common rose. A botanist might see its petals, its stem, its biological parts. They might focus on how it gets nutrients or how its cells are built. But an artist, looking at that same rose, might see how the morning light touches its dewdrops, or feel the sadness of a fading bloom, or remember a moment linked to its scent. They aren't trying to show the rose's scientific truth. They are capturing its feeling, its essence, how it speaks to them. So when an artist changes a color or twists a line, they're not wrong. They are showing you their unique reality, a deep truth beyond just what your eyes see. It's a quiet invitation to see the world, not only with your sight, but with your heart and your mind. It reminds us that reality is a story we each create, moment by moment. The power of your own thoughts. Have you ever stopped to think about what reality actually is? We often believe it's just out there, solid and fixed for everyone. But what if a big part of what you experience as real actually comes from inside, your own head? What if your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs literally shape the world you see? For thousands of years, thinkers have explored how our minds aren't just cameras recording the world. They're more like projectors, casting our own unique view. Ancient Greek thinkers wondered if we truly see things as they are, or just our idea of them. Later, psychologists found something similar. Two people can experience the same event, but have different memories and feelings about it. It's not just about what happened, but how each person processed it. Imagine walking into a new classroom on the first day of school. For one student, it might feel exciting, full of new chances. They see friendly faces and opportunities. For another, the same room, the same people, might feel scary, overwhelming, full of judgment. They notice every quiet glance, every whispered comment, as proof of their fears. The reality of the classroom isn't just the desks and the teacher, it's also the feeling that each student brings to it, their internal state, their thoughts about themselves and others. changes what they perceive. The classroom feels different, because their mind is making it so. So, here's the thing. Your thoughts aren't just whispers. They are powerful forces. They decide what you pay attention to, how you understand things, and how you feel about your life. This means changing your thoughts isn't just about feeling better. It can change the reality you walk through every day. It's a quiet, deep power, always within you, shaping your world one thought at a time. And that's pretty amazing to consider. Feeling lost in a familiar place. Have you ever walked into your own house, a place you know well, but for a moment it felt strange, like you were seeing it for the first time, or after waking from a dream? That weird feeling of being lost in a familiar place happens to many of us. It's a deep hint about how our minds shape reality. Here's the thing. Our brains don't just record the world like a camera. Our minds add meaning, memories, and feelings. So, when you look at your bedroom, you're not just seeing walls and furniture. You're seeing comfort, sleep, or specific memories. This personal layer of feeling makes it familiar, but sometimes your internal state shifts. Maybe you're tired, or stressed, or lost in thought. When that happens, your brain's usual map for understanding your surroundings can feel off. Ancient Greek thinkers like Plato wondered if our senses might trick us, suggesting what we see could be a shadow of a deeper truth. Later, philosophers explored how our feelings are our lenses. They realized our reality isn't just out there, it's also built in here, inside our heads. Think about walking through your school during summer break. The hallways are the same. Classrooms are where they should be, but without the noise of students, it feels incredibly different, maybe even a little unfamiliar. It's the same building, but your usual experience of it, the sounds, the purposes, missing. Your mind isn't filling in the usual details, so the place feels new. This moment shows something important. Reality isn't a fixed picture. It's a painting our minds add to, based on feelings, memories, and mood. So, the world isn't just out there, it's connected to our inner self. And that makes reality very personal and subjective for each of us. It makes you wonder what else your mind is doing, doesn't it? When everyone agrees, but you don't. Have you ever been in a situation where everyone around you seemed to agree on something, but deep down, you felt completely different? Maybe it was about a movie, a new song, or even just how a certain event truly played out, and you wondered, am I missing something? Or are they? This feeling isn't just about being stubborn. It's a quiet whisper that tells us something profound about reality. It suggests that what we call truth or fact can sometimes be shaped by our own minds, even when many others share a different view. Imagine the early days of science. For centuries, almost everyone agreed the sun revolved around the earth. It was the common wisdom, taught everywhere. But a few brave thinkers, like Copernicus and then Galileo, looked at the stars, did the math, and saw something else. They saw the earth moving around the sun. Their individual view, initially doubted by many, eventually changed how humanity understood its place in the universe. The universe itself didn't change. Our perception of it did. Think about something simple, like an optical illusion. You might see two faces in a picture, while your friend only sees a vase. Or maybe you experience a strong smell that others don't seem to notice. It's the same picture, the same air, yet your experience of it is unique. This is because our brains process information in slightly different ways, drawing on our memories, our feelings, and our own inner world. So, when your inner voice tells you something different from the crowd, it's not necessarily wrong. It's a reminder that your unique way of seeing the world is valid. Each individual perspective adds another layer to our understanding, like different colors creating a fuller picture. It shows us that reality isn't a single, solid block, but a vast, shimmering tapestry woven from countless viewpoints. And sometimes, the most important new ideas start with just one person seeing things differently. Embrace that quiet knowing. It's a path to deeper understanding for everyone. The myth that feels like history. Have you ever believed something so strongly, felt it in your bones, only to find out later it wasn't quite true? Our minds often build a picture of the world from stories that aren't strict facts, but feel just as solid as any historical event. This is the myth that feels like history. It's not about dragons or magic. It's about ideas or tales we accept as true because they've been repeated often, for a long time. They shape how we see the past and understand ourselves. Think about how ancient cultures shared knowledge. Before writing, People passed down stories by speaking them. Over generations, these tales changed, details shifted, or the meaning grew, bigger than the original event. But they became the truth for those communities. They weren't just made up. They were how people explained the unknown, how they found meaning. These stories formed their reality. Consider a common idea. Many people still believe that humans only use 10% of their brain. You've probably heard it. It sounds scientific. It makes you think about hidden potential. But here's the thing. Brain scientists say we use almost all of our brain, just different parts at different times. Yet, this 10% myth keeps going. It feels real because it's so common. This is a perfect example of a widely accepted idea that shapes how some people think about learning, even though it's not actually true. So, what does this tell us about reality? It means what we think happened, or what we believe is true, can hold as much power as a proven fact. Our understanding isn't just built on hard evidence. It's also built on shared stories, deep beliefs, and even misunderstandings that become so ingrained they turn into history in our minds. It reminds us to be curious, to look closer, and to understand that our view of the world is often shaped by narratives we've simply absorbed. And that's why it matters. These shared beliefs, true or not, really do create the world we live in. How your culture shapes your world. Have you ever considered that the world you understand might feel totally different to someone from another country? Here's the thing. What we call reality isn't just out there. A huge part of it is built inside our minds, shaped by the culture we grow up in. Culture means the shared ideas, beliefs, and ways of life a group passes down. It's like a special lens. This lens shows us what's important, what's right or wrong, and what counts as true. Think about how people have understood time across history. Some societies saw time as a straight line, always moving forward. Others viewed time as a circle, repeating cycles. These beliefs changed how they saw daily life and the future. Their reality was built on these cultural ideas. This isn't just old history. It happens every day. Take something simple, like personal space. In some places, people stand very close when talking. This is normal, but in other cultures, standing too close might feel uncomfortable. Neither way is wrong. Each culture teaches its people a different understanding of normal distance. What feels real often comes from these learned rules. So, what seems like a simple fact can be flipped when seen through a different cultural window. Our culture whispers ideas into our minds, not just about what to think, but how to think and feel. Understanding this means seeing that your own reality is a beautiful, complex story, partly written by the world you grew up in. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many other truths are just different versions of the same deep story? Words that mean different things. Have you ever thought about how a single word can mean totally different things to different people? That's one way we see how reality itself can feel a little bit fluid. Here's the thing. Words are like containers. We put ideas into them. But what if everyone puts something slightly different inside, even if the container is the same? Think of the word blue. For you, it might be the deep ocean on a stormy day. For someone else, it's the gentle sky at dawn. Both are blue, but the feeling, the image it calls up, is unique for each person. For centuries, thinkers have noticed this. They knew language isn't just a tool to describe the world. It helps create our world, or at least how we see it. The words we choose, and how we put them together, they shape our thoughts. And our thoughts shape what we believe is true. Think about the word home. For you, it might be the house where you live, a specific place. But for your friend, home might be anywhere their family is, even if they move a lot. For an astronaut, home is the entire planet Earth, a small blue marble in space. The word home is the same for all three, but the reality it points to is completely different, isn't it? It changes based on their experience, their memories, their feelings. So, when we use words, we're not just sharing facts, we're sharing our own unique slice of reality. We're inviting others into our way of seeing things. This helps us see that your truth and my truth might not always be the same, even if we use the same words, and that's okay. It means our minds are working in wonderful, personal ways, always building our own maps of the world. It reminds us to listen closely to what others mean, not just what they say. The story that makes you cry. Have you ever wondered why a song makes one person dance, but another feels sad? Or why a story makes you cry, but your friend just shrugs? It's the same song, the the same story, the same words, but something inside us changes how we feel. This shows a deep truth about reality, a quiet secret. Here's the thing, reality isn't just what happens out there. It's also what happens in here, inside our minds and hearts. People have thought about this for a long time. Ancient thinkers, philosophers from hundreds of years ago, noticed our feelings really shape what we see. They knew a sad heart might see a gray sky, while a joyful heart sees the same sky as bright and full of promise. The sky doesn't change, but our personal view does. This helps you see how our experiences color everything. Imagine you and a friend watch a movie where a character loses a pet. You might feel a lump in your throat, even tears, but your friend, who hasn't gone through something similar, might just see it as words on a screen. The movie doesn't change. Your history, memories, and experiences mix with the story. They create a new, personal meaning just for you. This is also how our brains work. They don't just take in raw information. They filter it and make sense of it based on everything we've lived. Your brain always adds its own personal filter to what you see and hear. So, the story that makes you cry isn't just a story, it's a quiet mirror. It reflects a part of your own reality, a feeling that lives inside you. It reminds us our feelings aren't just simple reactions. They are powerful parts of how we build our own unique world, moment by moment. This shows what's true for one person isn't always true for another, even when looking at the exact same thing. Why your brain filters things out. Have you ever stopped to think about all the things you don't notice in a single moment? Right now, there are countless sounds, smells, and sensations around you. Your clothes touching your skin, the hum of the air conditioner, the faint smell of something from outside. Most of the time, you don't even register them. Here's why that happens. Your brain is constantly bombarded. Every second, your eyes, ears, and other senses collect billions of pieces of information. If your brain tried to process all of it, all at once, you'd be completely overwhelmed. It would be like trying to drink from a faucet. So, your brain has a very important job. It acts like a filter. It decides what information is important enough to let through to your conscious mind, and what can be ignored. Ancient thinkers, even way back in ancient Greece, pondered this idea of limited perception. Plato, a famous philosopher, imagined people living in a cave. They only ever saw shadows of objects cast on a wall, never the real objects themselves. For them, the shadows were reality. This shows us that humans have long understood what we perceive might not be the whole truth. Our brains are always shaping our experience. Think about being in a crowded, noisy cafeteria. You can somehow focus on your friend's voice, right? Or the other chatter, the scraping chairs, the clatter of trays. Your brain pushes it to the background. This ability to focus on one thing and ignore others is exactly your brain filtering. It's not just about noise, it's about sights, feelings, even thoughts. This filtering isn't a mistake or a flaw, it's how we survive and function. But it means the world you experience, the colors you see, the sounds you hear, are unique to you. Your brain decides what gets through the gate, and that's why your version of what's real might be just a little bit different from anyone else's. It reminds us that our personal reality is a deeply personal creation. The trick of the empty refrigerator. Have you ever walked to the refrigerator, knowing exactly what you wanted, maybe a carton of milk or a leftover pizza, only to open the door and find it completely empty? It's a common moment. But here's the thing, when you first looked inside, did you truly just see empty shelves? Or did you first feel the absence of the milk, the missing pizza, the thing you expected to be there? This simple daily experience points to something deep about how our minds work. Our brains don't just passively record what's in front of us. Instead, they're constantly predicting, filling in gaps, and building a version of reality based on what we expect or what we believe. The empty refrigerator isn't just about lacking food. It's a moment where your expected reality crashes into the actual one. Your mind had already placed that milk carton on the shelf before your eyes even confirmed it wasn't there. For a long time, thinkers have wondered about this. Ancient Greek philosophers, like Plato, explored how our senses can trick us. He had this idea about people in a cave, only seeing shadows on a wall, thinking those shadows were the real world. They didn't know there was a fire behind them, casting those images. It's a bit like that with our perception. We're often seeing the shadows of our own expectations or past experiences, projected onto the world. Think about an optical illusion. You look at a drawing, and one moment you see an old woman, the next you see a young woman. The lines on the page don't change, but your brain switches its interpretation. You're not just seeing, you're interpreting. This shows how much of our seeing is actually our brain making a choice, forming a specific reality for us in that moment. So, the next time you open a refrigerator or experience anything in life, remember that your mind is always a part of what you see. Your reality is not just what's out there, but also what's in here, inside your head. It's a blend of objective facts and your own personal story woven together. This means everyone's reality might be a little different, like everyone seeing a slightly different shade of blue. It makes the world a very personal place. Seeing faces in random objects. Have you ever looked at, say, an old electrical outlet, and suddenly it seemed to have two eyes and a mouth, like it was surprised? Or maybe a pile of clothes on the floor looked like a sleeping animal in the dark. This isn't just your imagination playing tricks. Here's the thing. It's a real and common experience called pareidolia. So, what is it? Pareidolia is when your brain sees familiar patterns, especially faces or figures, in random objects or shapes. Think about how many times you've spotted a man in the moon or animals in the clouds. Your brain is wired to do this. For humans long ago, spotting a face quickly was super important for survival. Was that a friend? An enemy hiding in the bushes? Our ancient ancestors needed to recognize faces fast to stay safe. This ability became deeply wired into our brains over thousands of years, and this ancient wiring is still active today, helping us make sense of the world, even when there's no actual face there. This can help you understand something deeper about your own mind. Here's what I found. Next time you're in a parking lot, look at the front of a car. Many cars seem to have faces, right? The headlights become the eyes, the grille, the mouth. It's not just a flat piece of metal anymore. It takes on a personality, all because your brain is trying to connect the dots and make sense of the shapes. Your brain is actually creating that face dot. This simple act of seeing a face in a piece of toast or a cloud tells us something truly profound about how we experience reality. It means that what we call reality isn't always a perfect, objective picture that everyone sees the exact same way. Our minds aren't just passively recording the world like a camera. Instead, our brains are actively shaping what we see, adding meaning and creating patterns, sometimes where none truly exist. And that's why it matters. It shows that our perception, our unique way of seeing things, is a powerful lens. It quietly helps build our individual world, moment by moment. How your fears become real. Have you ever had a deep worry, a fear that something bad might happen? Maybe you pictured yourself tripping or forgetting your lines during a presentation. Sometimes it feels like those exact things actually do happen. Here's the thing, our fears can, in a strange way, help make themselves real. This isn't magic, it's about how our minds work. When we focus intensely on a fear, it changes how we act and what we notice. For example, if you constantly worry you'll fail a test, your brain gets busy with that idea. You might get so anxious you can't focus when you study. Or maybe you're sure you'll do badly, so you don't even try your best. Then, if the test doesn't go well, it feels like your fear was right. But what if your fear itself helped create that outcome? People have thought about this for a very long time. Ancient thinkers understood that our thoughts hold a lot of power. They knew that believing something would happen, good or bad, could push us toward that result. Think about the placebo effect. If someone believes a sugar pill will make them feel better, sometimes it does. The opposite can happen too. If you strongly believe something will make you feel worse, sometimes it does. This shows how your own belief can shape the reality you experience. So while we can't make every scary thing disappear, we do hold a quiet power. We choose what we feed our minds. Understanding that our fears can shape our world isn't about ignoring them, it's about noticing their influence. And it's about choosing how we respond. What we focus on, even our deepest worries, can truly change the path we walk. The loud noise that was only in your head. Imagine a sudden, loud sound, a bang, a crash. You turn, ready to see what happened, but there's nothing there. No shattered glass, no fallen object, just quiet. You might feel confused, maybe even silly. But here's the thing, your brain actually heard it, even if no one else did. Sometimes our minds can play tricks on us. They can make us perceive things that aren't really happening outside our heads. This isn't about ghosts or magic. It's about how our brains work and how they actively build the world we experience. Our senses gather information, but our brain interprets it, creating our personal reality. Sometimes it gets a little creative or fills in gaps. For centuries, thinkers have wondered about this. A famous philosopher, René Descartes, asked, "How can we be sure what we see or hear is real, and not just something our mind is making up?" He thought about dreams, how real they feel, even though they're not happening. If dreams can feel so real, what if waking life is similar? What if our perception isn't a perfect window to reality, but a careful display by our own mind? Think about your phone. Have you ever felt it vibrate in your pocket, only to see no message? That's a common example. Your brain expected a vibration, creating the feeling even without a real signal. It's called a phantom vibration. Our brains are always trying to make sense of the world, trying to predict what's next. Sometimes they fill in blanks or misinterpret signals. So, the loud noise that was only in your head wasn't a mistake, but a quiet whisper about your mind's power. It reminds us that our personal reality, the one we live in, is deeply unique and built inside us. It's a world shaped by our thoughts, our memories, and even our quiet expectations. And that's why it matters. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What else might be more you than out there? Why something feels familiar. Have you ever walked into a new place, or had a conversation, and felt a strange tug, like you'd been there before? It's not just a trick of the mind. That feeling, often called déjà vu, is a powerful reminder of how our brains work. Here's the thing. Our brains are always trying to make sense of the world. They take in new information, but then they immediately try to connect it to everything we already know. It's like your brain has a massive library, and when you see something new, it races through the shelves looking for a match, even a partial one. Some thinkers long ago, like the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, wondered if familiar feelings meant we were remembering things from a past life. Or perhaps that knowledge was already inside us, just waiting to be recalled. Today, we understand it differently. It's more about how your brain processes information. Imagine you're watching a movie. Sometimes, a tiny part of the scene, like a specific chair or a shadow, gets processed by your brain a split second before the rest of the scene. When the whole picture catches up, your brain thinks, "Wait, I just saw this." This quick mismatch makes the moment feel old, even though it's new. Think about a time you heard a new song on the radio. Maybe it wasn't a song you knew, but a few notes reminded you of an old favorite. Your brain isn't wrong. It's just trying to find patterns. It's connecting the dots based on your unique history, your personal library of experiences. So, when something feels familiar, it's not always a glitch. It's often your own mind showing you how much your past shapes your present. It's a quiet whisper that what we perceive as reality is deeply colored by what we've already lived. It reminds us that our journey, our unique collection of memories, is always subtly guiding our view of the world around us. It's personal, it's deep, and it shows how truly unique your reality is. The feeling of déjà vu. Have you ever walked into a brand new place, somewhere you've never been before, but instantly felt like you've already seen it, or heard a friend tell a story, and just for a second, you were sure you'd heard it exactly that way before? That strange, unsettling feeling is called déjà vu. It's a French phrase meaning already seen. It's that split second when your brain tells you, this has happened before, even when you know it hasn't. It's a moment where your personal reality feels a bit out of sync. For a long time, people really wondered about déjà vu. Some thought it was a memory from a past life, or maybe a quick glimpse into the future. Others believed it was a message from a dream you couldn't quite remember. Philosophers have seen it as a trick of the mind, a fleeting connection between what we know and what we feel. Here's the thing. While these old ideas are interesting, science today usually sees it differently. Imagine your brain is like a super-fast computer, always taking in information. Sometimes, it just gets a little hiccup. Maybe you see something, and your brain processes it twice, just milliseconds apart. The first time, it's so quick you don't fully notice it. The second time, it feels familiar because a tiny, almost memory, was already there. It's like your brain got ahead of itself, briefly confusing the present with a very recent, almost identical past. Or, you might have dreamed something, and then later, that exact situation plays out in real life. It feels like you've seen it, because you sort of did, in your sleep. So déjà vu might not be about seeing the future or remembering past lives. Instead, it could be a small window into how delicate our feeling of reality can be. It shows us that our brains actively build our experience, and sometimes those building blocks get a little mixed up. It's a quiet reminder that what we feel is truly real right now is deeply shaped by the amazing, and sometimes weird, workings inside our own minds. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, just how much of what we experience is truly out there, and how much is woven only within us. When you think you saw something move, had you ever been sitting in a quiet room, maybe reading or just staring into space, and then, out of the very corner of your eye, you catch a flicker? A shadow shifts, a tiny movement, like something scurried past. You snap your head around, but nothing, just a still room. The floor is empty, the wall is plain. It makes you wonder, right, what was that? Did I imagine it? Here's the thing, you probably didn't imagine it in the sense that you made it up from nothing. Your brain, that amazing supercomputer in your head, is always trying to make sense of the world. It takes in bits of information, a slight change in light, a fuzzy shape, and sometimes it connects the dots a little too quickly. It fills in the blanks, trying to create a complete picture, even if all the pieces aren't actually there. People have thought about this for thousands of years. Ancient Greek philosophers, like Plato, wondered if what we see is just shadows of a true reality. They argued that our senses can trick us. Think about it. Our eyes aren't perfect cameras. They grab light, send signals, and then our brain interprets them. And that interpretation can be pretty creative. For example, imagine you're walking home at dusk. A coiled garden hose on the sidewalk suddenly looks like a snake for a split second. Your brain sees the shape, the low light, and quickly decides danger. Before your conscious mind even has time to check, that quick jump to conclusions is how our brains work, trying to keep us safe, but also showing us how easily our perception can be swayed. So, when you think you saw something move, and then it's gone, it's not always a ghost or some secret creature. It's often your own brain, building its own version of reality based on limited information. It shows us that what we perceive isn't always exactly what is. Our personal reality, the world we experience, is a unique creation, sculpted by our senses and our minds. It's a reminder that what seems solid and certain can, sometimes, be a little bit fluid, a little bit personal. The mirror that makes you look different. Have you ever looked at your own reflection and felt like you saw something new? Maybe not your face, but something about the way you felt that day changed what you saw. It's a strange thought, but what if the world around us, what we call reality, is also like a mirror, always showing us a slightly different picture depending on who we are in that moment? Here's the thing, our minds aren't just cameras recording facts. They're more like artists, adding their own colors, shadows, and feelings to everything we experience. For thousands of years, people have wondered about this. Ancient thinkers asked if we truly see the world as it is, or if we mostly see our own ideas of it. They thought our experiences, our beliefs, even our moods, act like a filter, shaping what gets through to us. Think about it this way. Imagine two friends watching the same movie. One friend is having a great day, feeling happy and relaxed. They might see the movie as exciting and fun. The other friend just had a tough day, feeling tired and annoyed. They might see the exact same movie as slow and boring. The movie itself didn't change at all, but how each friend saw it, how they experienced that reality, was totally different. Their inner state was like a special mirror, reflecting the film back to them in a unique way. So, this idea isn't about being right or wrong. It's about understanding that our personal inner world plays a huge role in how we see the outer world. It means reality isn't always a fixed, solid thing. Instead, it can bend and shift, showing a slightly new reflection to each of us every single day. And that's a powerful idea to think about. How light changes what you see. Have you ever stopped to think how much light truly shapes what you see? We often take it for granted, like it's just there, showing us things as they are. But here's the thing, light isn't just a simple helper, it's a main player in how your brain builds your reality. Imagine a room. In bright sunlight, everything looks sharp, colors vivid. But switch on a dim yellow lamp, and suddenly, those same objects look softer, colors muted or changed. That red apple might seem a different shade, or even brownish, under different light. This isn't just your imagination. Light is made of different colors, or wavelengths. When light hits an object, it absorbs some and reflects others. The colors we see are just the ones that bounce back to our eyes. Don't think about ancient thinkers. Before science, they wondered if what they saw was truly real, or just a trick of the eye. They observed how the setting sun painted the sky in impossible oranges and purples, changing the world's look. How a deep forest in twilight seemed to hide secrets, not because things vanished, but because the light altered their appearance. They sensed something deeper about perception. Here's a simple example. Your favorite shirt. It might look perfectly blue in a clothing store, but take it outside, and suddenly it looks a little different, maybe a slightly darker blue, or even a hint of purple. The fabric didn't change, but the light hitting it did. This changes what wavelengths are reflected, and so, what color your eyes perceive. So, what does this tell us? Seeing isn't just receiving information, it's also interpreting it through light. Our reality, moment by moment, is not fixed, but fluid, bending and shifting with every change in illumination. It's a quiet reminder that even basic parts of our world are deeply subjective, constantly shaped by unseen forces. It makes us wonder what true color even means. The echo in your own mind. Have you ever wondered why two people can see the exact same thing, but have completely different feelings about it? You might watch a movie with a friend. You think it's amazing. Your friend finds it boring, even silly. The movie itself didn't change, right? So, what happened? Here's the thing. Our minds are not like plane cameras. They don't just record what's out there. Instead, our minds are busy places, full of memories, feelings, and everything we've ever learned. When we experience something new, all those past thoughts and feelings echo inside us. They mix with what's happening now. This echo colors how we see the world. It makes your reality truly unique. People have thought about this for ages. Philosophers, long ago, asked how we really know things. They realized we don't just take in facts directly. Our brains make sense of them, based on what we already carry inside. It's like your own personal filter is always on. Let's use an example. Imagine you're walking through a park. You see a big old tree. Maybe to you, it's just a tree, but someone else, looking at the exact same tree, might feel a deep sense of calm because it reminds them of climbing trees at their grandparents'. Or maybe someone else feels sad, remembering a tough talk they once had under a similar tree. The tree is just a tree, but its meaning is shaped by their mind's echo. So, your reality isn't just about what you see or hear. It's also about what echoes inside your head. Understanding this helps you see why others might act or feel differently. It reminds us everyone carries their own unique world inside. And that's something worth thinking about. Why that smell reminds you of summer. You know that feeling, right? You catch a whiff of something, maybe sunscreen, fresh cut grass, or sweet barbecue smoke, and suddenly your mind is back in a perfect summer day. It's not just a memory, it's a whole feeling. But why do smells do that? Here's the thing. Our sense of smell is wired differently. When you see or hear something, that information goes through a processing center in your brain first, before reaching parts for emotions or memories. But smell, it takes a more direct route. It goes straight to the amygdala, which handles emotions, and the hippocampus, which is all about memories. Thinkers for ages have noticed this strange power of scent. They understood a smell isn't just physical, it's a trigger for our inner world. It shows how our own experiences, big or small, build up inside us, shaping how we see the world. It's not just what is out there, but what our brains connect to it. Imagine the smell of chlorine from a swimming pool. For you, maybe that means endless summer days, cannonballs, and laughter with friends. Every time you smell it, your brain isn't just recognizing chlorine. It's firing off all those linked memories and feelings. It's like your brain made a shortcut. Chlorine equals summer joy. This personal connection isn't something everyone shares. Someone else might smell chlorine and think of a boring lesson, or even something sad. So, that powerful link to summer isn't just in the air, it's in you. It's a reminder that what we experience, what we feel, is deeply woven with our personal story. The world isn't just what our senses pick up, it's what our minds make of it, moment by moment. Each unique smell proves our reality is truly our own. The movie ending that surprised only you. Have you ever watched a movie with friends, and the ending surprised only you? You're like, wait, didn't you see it coming? And they're all, nope, seemed pretty obvious. It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Like you saw a different movie. Here's the thing. What you saw, what you really saw, was shaped by everything inside you. Your memories, your feelings, your past experiences, they act like filters. They filter the world for you. So, the movie wasn't just on the screen. It was also happening inside your mind. And your mind is unique. No one else has your exact filters. For thousands of years, people have wondered about this. From ancient Greece to now, wise people have wondered if we truly see the real world, or do we just see our own version? It's a very old and deep question. It makes us think that reality might be more personal than we think. Imagine two people looking at the exact same cloud in the sky. One sees a fluffy white sheep, the other sees a dark, scary dragon. The cloud didn't change, but their own experiences, maybe how they feel, or what they just watched, changed what they saw. Their minds added meaning. Same cloud, two different realities. So, that movie ending you found so shocking, it wasn't just a twist. It showed you how much your own unique view matters. It reminds us everyone has their own inner world. And understanding this helps us listen better. It makes us more curious about how others see things. It shows us that even sharing a moment means we might live in slightly different versions of it. And that's pretty deep to think about. How your feelings change the room. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt something? Like the air was heavy or light and happy? It's strange, isn't it? Our feelings deep inside us seem to spill out. They don't just stay locked in. Our minds, they can actually change how a space feels, for us and for others. Think about it. When you're excited, don't colors seem brighter? Sounds clearer? When you're sad, the same room looks dim, muted. It's not just your perception. It's how your inner world paints the outer one. Even ancient philosophers talked about this. They believed our inner state created an atmosphere. They observed how a leader's anger made a meeting tense, or how a kind person's presence made everyone feel safe. Here's what I found. Imagine a great day at school. You walk into your kitchen. The window light seems warm. Dinner smells inviting. Everything feels calm and welcoming. Now, imagine a terrible argument. You walk into that exact same kitchen. Suddenly, the light seems harsh. The smell's annoying. The quiet feels heavy. The room itself hasn't changed, but your feelings shifted its energy for you. It's like your emotions send out silent signals, changing the very air. So, here's the thing. Our inner world isn't just private, it's powerful. Every feeling, every mood, sends out a quiet ripple. It shapes not just our own experience, but also the experience of others. Understanding this means we hold a quiet power. We can choose what kind of atmosphere we carry, and what kind of space we create. It reminds us that what's inside truly matters. The moment you knew it wasn't real. Have you ever had a moment, a sudden flicker, when something you thought was absolutely true, absolutely solid, just wasn't? It's a strange feeling, like the ground beneath your feet suddenly became water. That's the feeling we're talking about, the moment you knew it wasn't real. Here's the thing about reality. What we see, hear, and feel isn't just out there. Our brains are like master artists, taking raw information and painting a picture. For us, this picture is our personal reality. So, if your brain changes the painting, or if it's based on incomplete information, your reality changes too. It can feel very real, even when it's not what's truly happening. Think about thinkers from long ago. Like the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, he had this famous idea about a cave. People were chained inside, only able to see shadows dancing. On a wall, they thought these shadows were real things. But then, if one person got free and saw the true world outside, they'd realize the shadows were just reflections. Their reality was totally wrong. Or René Descartes, who centuries later wondered if everything he experienced was just a dream, so vivid it felt real. Maybe I'm dreaming all of this, he thought. He realized the only thing he could be sure of was that he was thinking. Consider a vivid dream you've had. In the dream you might fly, or talk to animals, or face a strange monster. Every detail feels completely real. You feel fear, excitement, joy. But then you wake up. The monster isn't there. You can't fly. And just like that, the solid reality of your dream fades, proving it was never real in the way you experience your day. Your mind created a whole world, just for a few hours. These moments, when we question what's true, aren't meant to scare us. Instead, they're like tiny doors opening in our minds. They invite us to look closer, to be curious about how our own minds work, and to understand that the world is far more complex and interesting than we often imagine. It reminds us that our personal view of reality is just one way of seeing things, and there might be many more layers beneath what we currently know. Believing a lie for too long. Have you ever been so sure about something, only to discover later that it wasn't true at all? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Like a piece of your reality just shifted. Here's the thing, our minds are amazing at creating what feels like truth, especially when we've believed something for a long time. We build our understanding of the world brick by brick, and sometimes a brick that isn't quite right gets put into place early on. For a long time in history, people were absolutely certain the earth was flat. They saw the horizon, they traveled, and everything seemed to confirm it. Thinking otherwise was even considered crazy. But as we know, the earth is a sphere. This wasn't a sudden change. It took centuries for that new truth to truly settle into human understanding. The old belief was so deeply wired into how people saw their world. It was hard to let go. Think about a common idea some people still hold, that we only use 10% of our brain. You might have heard this idea from movies or books. It sounds cool, like we all have secret powers waiting to be unlocked. But here's what science shows us. Brain scans prove we use almost all of our brain, all the time, even when we're just resting. Different parts light up for different tasks, sure, but no huge parts just sit there empty. This 10% myth is just that, a myth, but it has stuck around for years because it's a captivating thought. It felt like a truth to many. So, what does this tell us? It reminds us that what we believe is real can sometimes be just a story we've told ourselves, or a story passed down through time. It's hard to change those deeply held beliefs, even when new evidence shows up. It makes you wonder, what truths do we hold on to now that future generations might look back on and find amusing, or even completely wrong? It shows us that reality isn't just about what is, but also what we are willing to believe is. The power of a strong imagination. Have you ever found yourself completely lost in thought, building entire worlds inside your head? Maybe you've imagined flying, or how a story you love might end differently. This isn't just daydreaming. This is your imagination at work. It's a powerful tool that shows how flexible reality can be. Our minds don't just see the world, they also create versions of it. For a long time, people have wondered where ideas come from. Think about ancient philosophers. Like Plato, he believed there were perfect, unchanging forms for everything. A perfect circle, a perfect tree. Even if we never see a truly perfect circle, we can picture it perfectly. That ability to grasp something ideal, something that doesn't exist physically but could, comes from imagination. It's how we dream up things that aren't real yet. Here's an example. Imagine a new invention, like a self-driving car. Before anyone could build one, someone had to imagine it. They pictured it moving without a driver, thinking about how it would work and what problems it would solve. Or consider a city planner designing a new park. They don't just see empty space. They imagine trees, paths, benches, kids playing. They see something that isn't there yet, but can be. Their mind creates a potential reality. So, what does this tell us? It tells us our inner thoughts, our ability to picture things can shape the world. Reality isn't always fixed, waiting to be discovered. Sometimes, reality is something we build, piece by piece, starting right inside our heads. Our imagination isn't just for stories. It's a quiet force that suggests the world is full of possibilities, many waiting for us to dream them into being. Seeing the world through rose-tinted glasses. Have you ever looked back at a memory and felt a warm glow, even if the actual moment wasn't perfect? It's like you were wearing special glasses. Right, glasses that made everything look a little brighter, a little happier. That feeling is what we mean by rose-tinted glasses. Here's the thing. Our minds are powerful filters. They don't just record what happens, they interpret it. What we see, remember, and believe isn't always a perfect copy of what is. Instead, it's often colored by our feelings, hopes, and past experiences. Think about it this way. Thousands of years ago, wise people already noticed this. They saw that two different people could watch the same event and tell completely different stories. It wasn't about lying. It was about how their personal view shaped their truth. Consider a favorite song. Maybe it's not the most famous or best produced, but for you, it might be tied to a special moment or feeling. When you hear it, it sounds perfect, amazing. Someone else might hear it and just think it's okay. Your rose-tinted glasses for that song come from your personal connection. Or, imagine a cloudy gray day. If you're feeling happy, that day might seem cozy, perfect for reading. But if you're feeling sad, the same gray day can feel dull and depressing. The weather didn't change, but your perception did. This shows us something deep. Reality isn't just a fixed picture we all look at. Instead, it's like a painting where each of us adds our own colors, our feelings, memories, mood. These are the brushes. So, the world we experience is always a unique blend of what's out there and what's inside us. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how much of what we call real is universal, and how much is just our own personal hue? It's a quiet thought, but an important one. When hope changes everything, have you ever noticed how sometimes just believing something will get better actually makes it better? It's not just a lucky guess. Here's the thing, our minds have a deep and mysterious way of shaping what we experience. What we deeply feel and believe can actually change our reality. Think about hope. It's not just a fluffy wish. It's a quiet strength, a firm belief that good things are possible, even when everything looks dark. This belief, this quiet conviction, can subtly but powerfully shift our world. For centuries, people have understood this connection. Ancient philosophers often talked about how our inner thoughts and attitudes impact our outward life. Doctors in the past, even before modern medicine, knew that a patient's strong belief in healing could sometimes be as important as any physical treatment. They saw how a person's spirit could affect their body, and this wisdom still holds true today. Consider something we call the placebo effect. It's a real and fascinating part of science. Imagine someone is sick, maybe with a lot of pain. A doctor might give them a pill, but it's just a sugar pill, with no actual medicine in it. Yet, if the patient truly believes this pill is powerful medicine, their pain often lessens or even disappears. Their hope, their strong expectation of feeling better, actually triggers their body to start healing. It shows us that the mind isn't just watching reality, it's actively helping to create it. It's not that the original sickness wasn't real, but the mind's power to feel better was unlocked by that belief. So, when we face tough times, or when the future feels uncertain, hope isn't just a comforting thought, it's a quiet, powerful force. It changes how we see problems. It can push us to find solutions we didn't think were possible. It allows us to keep trying, even when giving up seems easier. The world outside us might not always bend to our will, but our perception of it, and our ability to act within it, truly can. Hope reminds us that what we hold inside our hearts and minds has a real, tangible effect on the world around us. It's a reminder that our inner world shapes our outer one. How stress makes everything worse. Have you ever noticed how a bad day can just keep getting worse? One small problem creates a ripple. Soon, everything feels harder, more complicated, or impossible. That heavy feeling, the racing thoughts, that's stress. And it does something strange to our sense of reality. Here's the thing about stress. It's more than just an emotion. It's a powerful state that changes how your brain processes the world. When you're under pressure, your body shifts into fight or flight mode. This ancient response, designed to keep us safe, tells our brain to focus only on threats. It narrows our view. Small issues seem like huge problems. Challenges feel like giant obstacles. Your mind hyperfocuses on the negative. It's hard to see solutions or things going right. Ancient thinkers, like the Stoic philosophers, understood this. They taught that what truly bothers us isn't the event itself, but our judgment about it. Our inner state shapes our outer world. Stress twists that inner state. Think about a time you had a big school project you worked hard, felt good about it. But then, right before you present, stress hits. Suddenly, that well-written report looks full of mistakes. Your practiced lines disappear. It now seems terrifying. Nothing about the project changed, only your perception. The easy task becomes a huge struggle because stress twisted your view. It makes reality feel harsher. So, stress isn't just unpleasant, it actively warps your perception. It makes the world seem scarier, more challenging, less kind. Understanding this is key. The situation might be difficult, but our reaction can make it feel far worse. It pulls us from what's real and true. A calm mind, though, can help us see things clearly, even when life feels messy. The silence that isn't really silent. Have you ever really listened to silence? I mean, truly listened? It sounds like a strange question, right? Silence is just ... nothing, no sound. But here's the thing. What we call silence isn't always a complete absence of sound. Our own bodies make noise. The world around us, even when it seems still, has tiny, soft sounds happening all the time. Our ears are always working, always picking up signals. So, pure silence, the kind where absolutely nothing is heard, is actually very hard to find, maybe even impossible for most of us. Think about how people have thought about this for ages. Ancient thinkers wondered if there was such a thing as true quiet. Later, artists like John Cage, a composer, even created pieces of music that were just ... silence. His most famous one, 433, was just a performer sitting still for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. The idea was that the music was actually the sounds the audience heard during that time, coughs, rustles, even their own breathing. It showed how sounds are always there, even when we expect quiet. It made people think about how what we expect to hear often shapes what we actually hear. Imagine you're in your bedroom late at night. You pull the covers up, and it's super quiet. But if you listen really closely, what do you hear? Maybe the faint hum of your computer, the distant sound of a car, or even just the whooshing sound of blood moving through your own ears. Your heartbeat, your breathing, these are all sounds your body makes. Or, if you've ever been in a really quiet room, like an anechoic chamber, a special room designed to absorb all sound, people often start hearing their own internal sounds, like their nervous system working, or their blood flowing. It can actually be pretty unsettling, because our brains aren't used to such an extreme lack of external noise. So the silence we experience most days isn't really empty, it's just a quieter version of the world. And that's why it matters. Our perception of what is silent is always a bit subjective. What one person calls quiet, another might find full of faint noises. It reminds us that our senses are constantly interpreting reality. Even when we think there's nothing there to interpret may be true. Quiet isn't found in the absence of sound, but in how we choose to listen. Your favorite food, their worst nightmare. Think about your favorite meal, that incredible smell, the burst of flavor on your tongue. Now, imagine you offer that exact same dish to someone else. For them, it's truly disgusting, like biting into something rotten. How can your joy be their nightmare? Here's the thing, our brains build our reality. What you taste, see, or hear, it's all put together inside your head, a unique experience crafted just for you. Every person's brain works a little differently, shaped by their own unique makeup. So, your reality isn't exactly the same as someone else's, even when you're experiencing the very same thing. This idea is not new. For thousands of years, thinkers have wondered about this. They asked if the world we see is truly the world as it is, or if it's just how we see it. It's a profound thought. Maybe there isn't one single solid reality that everyone shares perfectly. Maybe what seems real to you is only real for you. Take cilantro, that common green herb. For many, its taste is fresh and bright. But for some, a specific gene makes it taste like pure soap. The same plant, the same chemicals, but completely different sensations. Your yummy guacamole is their soapy horror. Or think about how a dog's nose can detect scents totally invisible to us. Smells that tell them entire stories about their world that we will never know. So, when we talk about reality, we often mean our reality, the versions stitched together by our own minds. This doesn't mean nothing is real, but it means our personal perception is just one view. And that's why it matters to truly listen to others, to try and understand their experiences, their feelings, their reality. It's just as valid and real for them as yours is for you. This understanding helps us become more open-minded, more empathetic, and a little less certain that our own personal truth is the only truth. Why your brain makes up stories. Have you ever wondered why your mind seems to craft stories, even when the facts aren't all there? It's a bit like a detective, always trying to solve a mystery, even if it has to guess at some of the clues. Here's the thing, your brain isn't just a recorder, it's an active storyteller, working constantly to make sense of the world around you. Your brain takes in bits of information, what you see, hear, touch, and quickly stitches them together. If there are gaps, it doesn't just leave them blank. Instead, it fills them in with what it thinks should be there, based on past experiences and what it expects. This isn't about being wrong or making things up on purpose. It's a very old survival trick. Imagine our early ancestors hearing a rustle in the bushes. Was it just the wind, or was it a predator? The brain quickly made up a story, a danger story, to keep them safe. It's better to be wrong about a rustle than to miss a real threat. People have thought about this for thousands of years. Ancient Greek thinkers, for example, wondered if what we see and hear is truly reality, or just our mind's interpretation of it. They understood that our senses can trick us, and that our brains are always building a personal version of the world. Think about this. You're walking home at dusk, and you see a strange, twisting shape on the ground. For a second, your heart might thump, thinking it's a snake. But then, as you get closer, you realize it's just a knotted rope left by a delivery person. Your brain, working fast, created the snake story because it was a possible danger, based on the dim light and the shape. It tried to make sense of incomplete information, leaning on a simple, ancient instinct. So your brain makes up stories, not to confuse you, but to help you understand, to protect you, and to give the world a kind of order. It reminds us that what we perceive, what we believe to be true, is often a careful, complex story written by our own amazing mind. And knowing that can change how you see everything. The thing you almost said. Have you ever felt a word sitting right on the tip of your tongue? A thought, a feeling, almost said aloud, but then it wasn't. It hung there, just behind your lips, unspoken. That moment is a quiet example of how our own reality, deep inside us, doesn't always quite match the world outside. Think about it. Our minds are constantly buzzing with ideas, memories, and emotions. But when we try to put these things into words, something often changes. The true feeling, the exact image, it can feel like it gets watered down, or parts of it simply disappear. The thing you almost said might have been the purest version of your thought. For hundreds of years, people have wondered about this very gap. Ancient thinkers, and even thinkers today, ask, does our language limit what we can even think? Can words truly capture everything we experience? They often point out that the world inside our heads is so much bigger, richer, and more detailed than anything we can ever fully describe. Here's an example. Imagine you just woke up from an incredibly vivid dream. You try to tell a friend about it. You use words like scary or weird or amazing. But no matter how hard you try, you know your friend isn't feeling the dream the way you did. The true strangeness, the fear, the wonder, it stays trapped inside your head, unspoken. The words just aren't big enough. So, here's the thing. That unspoken world inside you is vast. It's a reminder that much of what makes you you exists beyond what can be easily shared or understood by others. Our personal realities are always deeper than what we manage to say. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, about all the beautiful, complex, unspoken worlds within everyone around you. 2. How language shapes your thoughts. Have you ever stopped to really think about the words you use every day? It seems simple, right? Words are just tools to describe the world around us. But what if those tools aren't just describing reality, but actually building it? What if the language you speak deeply shapes how you see everything? Here's the thing. Many thinkers, for a very long time, have wondered about this. Ancient philosophers, and even scientists today, explore how our words might draw the lines around our thoughts. They suggest that language isn't just a window to the world, it's more like a pair of glasses. The kind of glasses you wear changes what you see. Think about colors. In English, we have blue and green. We see them as clearly separate, but some languages, like in certain ancient cultures, might use just one word for both, or many words for shades we just call green. People speaking those languages might genuinely see those shades as more distinct, or the blue-green spectrum as a single unit, because their words group them that way. Their reality of color is different. This isn't just about colors, it's about how we understand time, or feelings, or even our own identity. If your language has many ways to describe a feeling, you might experience that feeling with more detail. If it doesn't, that feeling might be harder to grasp, or less real to you. So when we share words, we're not just sharing information, we are sharing a way of looking at the world. And that makes reality feel a little less solid, a little more personal. It means your mind, shaped by your language, creates its own unique version of everything. It's a quiet, profound power that we often don't even notice. The drawing that looks different to everyone. Have you ever looked at something and seen one thing, but your friend saw something totally different? Like a picture that seems to change depending on who's looking. It happens more often than you think, and it tells us something deep about how we see the world. Our minds aren't just cameras taking exact photos. Instead, they're more like artists, each painting their own version of what's real, even from the same starting point. Take those old drawings, the ones called optical illusions. You know, the picture that might be an old woman's face to some, and a young woman's face to others, or the one that's both a duck and a rabbit. These aren't tricks of the light. They are powerful examples of how our brains interpret what our eyes see. Philosophers have thought about this for thousands of years. They asked, is reality truly out there, fixed and solid, or is it partly created inside our own heads? Long ago, thinkers wondered if we all lived in our own little bubbles of understanding, even when sharing the same space. Here's an everyday example. Think about a song. One person might hear it and feel super happy, full of energy. Another person listening to the exact same notes and words might feel calm, even a little sad. The song itself hasn't changed. The sound waves hitting their ears are identical, but their personal experiences, their memories, their current mood, these all shape how they hear the song. It's not just about what is, but what it means to them. Or consider how a smell can remind one person of their grandmother's house and another of a flower garden they visited. The smell is just molecules in the air, but our past shapes how we experience it. So, when we look at the same drawing and see different things, it reminds us that our personal story, our memories, and our feelings are always coloring what we perceive. It suggests that reality isn't just one big, unchanging thing that everyone agrees on. Instead, it's a collection of many individual experiences, each one true for the person living it. It's a quiet thought that what's true for me might not be true for you, even if we are looking at the exact same drawing. And that's pretty amazing to think about. That feeling of being watched, have you ever felt it? That strange tingle on the back of your neck, the quiet sense that someone's eyes are on you, even when no one is there. It's a common feeling, almost primal. But what if that feeling, that sense of being observed, actually changes the reality around you? This isn't just about a wild imagination. Think about it. When you know you're being watched, you act differently, right? Maybe you stand a little straighter, or you're more careful with your words. Your awareness of being observed subtly alters your behavior. That's a simple, everyday example of how subjective reality can work. Your perception, your knowledge of being seen, shifts what happens. Philosophers and even scientists have played with this idea for a long time. There's a concept in quantum physics, very complex, but here's the basic idea. Incredibly tiny particles, smaller than atoms, seem to behave differently just because we are looking at them. Before they are observed, they might exist in many possible states at once. But the moment an observer looks, they choose one state. The act of watching forces them to pick a path. So, the observer's act of seeing helps define what's real for that tiny particle. Imagine you're walking in a dark room. You might move freely, but if you suddenly think there's a camera recording you, every step becomes deliberate. You're conscious of your movements. Your awareness of being seen changes your experience of the room. So, here's the thing. That feeling of being watched might be more than just a feeling. It might hint at a deeper truth, that our presence, our awareness, our very act of observing, isn't passive. It's active. It shapes the world, even in small, unseen ways. It makes you wonder what other parts of reality are waiting for us to simply notice them, for them to become solid. It suggests that reality isn't just out there, fixed and unmoving. Instead, it's something we're always, in some subtle way, helping to create, simply by being present. The way your pet sees you. Have you ever looked at your pet, maybe your dog or cat, and wondered what they really see when they look at you? We see them as furry friends, family even. But what about from their side? Here's the thing. The world they experience is wildly different from yours, even when you're in the same room. Their reality, what they sense and understand, is unique to them. For centuries, people have thought about this. Ancient thinkers, and even scientists today, have been curious about how other creatures experience life. They asked, does a bird see the sky the same way we do? Does a fish feel water the way we feel air? It's a deep question that reminds us that reality isn't a single, fixed thing that everyone shares. Think about your dog, for example. You might see a familiar room, full of furniture and light. But your dog's main sense isn't sight, it's smell. For them, that room isn't just colors and shapes. It's a complex, ever-changing map of sense. They smell every person who's been there, every meal cooked, every emotion you're feeling. Your couch isn't just a couch, it's a history book written in smells. They smelled the person who sat there yesterday, the crumbs from breakfast, and the distinct scent of your worry or joy. So, while you see a quiet living room, your dog experiences a bustling library of odors, a rich, invisible story unfolding all around them. So, when your pet looks at you, they're not seeing the exact you that you see in the mirror. They're seeing a version of you filtered through their unique senses, their instincts, and their own kind of brain. Their reality is just as real and valid as yours, even if it's completely different. And that makes you think, doesn't it? If the same room can be so different for a dog, what parts of our own normal reality are just our version, shaped by our human eyes and minds? When you understand a joke later, have you ever heard a joke, maybe chuckled politely, but then, hours or even days later, it suddenly hits you? That moment when the full meaning, the real punchline, finally lands with a quiet aha in your mind. The joke didn't change. It was always the same set of words. But your understanding, your inner world, did. This simple experience tells us something deep about how we see the world. Thinkers have wondered about how we truly know things for a long time. They understood knowledge isn't just facts. It's about connecting them, seeing them in new ways. Our minds are like a puzzle. You might have all the pieces, but they aren't together yet. Then, with more information, or just time, the picture snaps into place. Imagine watching a cartoon you loved as a kid. A grown-up character makes a clever comment that totally went over your head back then. You laughed at the silly animation, but not the smart joke. Years later, you watch it again. With more life experience, that old line suddenly makes perfect sense. It's funny in a whole new way, tied into a deeper understanding of people. This isn't just about jokes, it's how we learn anything. A complex science idea might seem like nonsense at first, but after learning a few more basics, or seeing a different example, it clicks. The world didn't change. The science principle stayed the same, but your ability to connect the dots within your own mind shifted. And because your mind shifted, your reality of that concept also changed. So, when a joke suddenly makes sense, it's a quiet reminder. It shows us that our reality isn't a fixed thing outside us. Instead, it's a living connection between the world and our constantly changing minds. What we understand today shapes our world, and what we understand tomorrow might just make today's reality look a little different. How opinions become facts for some. Have you ever wondered why some ideas feel so absolutely true to some people, while others see them completely differently? It's a curious thing. What we call truth often isn't just a simple fact waiting to be discovered. Instead, it can be a deeply personal understanding, shaped by everything we've experienced, the stories we've heard, and even the feelings we have. Our brains are amazing at connecting dots and making patterns. When we encounter an idea often, especially if it comes from people we trust, or if it fits neatly with what we already think, it starts to feel right. This feeling of rightness can grow stronger and stronger until it no longer feels like something we chose to believe, but something that just is. Think about how people once truly believed the earth was flat. For thousands of years, this was not just an idea. It was their rock-solid reality, their everyday observations, the limited tools they had, and what their elders taught them all pointed to a flat world. The sun rising and setting, ships disappearing over the horizon. These observations, without the larger context we have today, made the flat earth seem perfectly logical and true. It took brave thinkers, new tools, and a lot of courage to even suggest a different truth. Their opinions became a shared fact, until enough new evidence made it wobble. Even today, we see this in smaller ways. Imagine your friend insists that a certain band is the absolute best ever, and another band is terrible. For them, that's not just an opinion, it's a solid, unshakable fact. Maybe they heard their favorite band's songs during a really happy time in their life, connecting strong emotions to the music. Or, all their closest friends also love this band, and share similar ideas about it. These personal feelings, repeated experiences, and the groups we belong to can make a belief feel incredibly real and true. It's almost like our brain has stamped fact on it, even when others might disagree. So, the line between what's just an opinion and what feels like a fact can get blurry. It reminds us to be curious about why others believe what they do. And it teaches us to gently question our own facts sometimes. Because often, what we hold as truth is less about universal reality and more about the unique journey of our own minds. The memory of a song that isn't right. Have you ever belted out the lyrics to your favorite song, only to realize later they were completely wrong? Maybe you sang "Sweat dreams are made of cheese" instead of "Sweet dreams are made of this." It's funny, right? But here's the thing. It also shows us something deep about how our minds work. Our memories aren't like perfect video recordings. They're more like stories we tell ourselves over and over. Every time we remember something, our brain doesn't just pull up a file. Instead, it rebuilds the memory. And sometimes, in that rebuilding, little details get changed, twisted, or even completely made up. It's not on purpose. It's just how the brain does its job to make sense of things. Thinkers for a long time have wondered about this. Way back, philosophers started asking, how can we really know what's true? Our senses can fool us, right? We see a mirage in the desert, or hear a sound that isn't there. If our direct experiences can be tricky, what about our memories of those experiences? This can help you see why they thought so much about what reality really is. Here's what I found happens often. Imagine you hear a song with unclear lyrics. Your brain tries to fill in the blanks, making its best guess based on what sounds logical or what you expect to hear. Then, that best guess becomes the new memory. So, you might sing "wrapped up like a deuce" instead of "revved up like a deuce" in a classic rock song, and for you, that's how it always was. Your brain settled on it. This shows us something big. If even simple memories, like the words to a song, can be shaped and changed by our own minds, then what does that say about everything else? It makes you wonder how much of what we call reality is just our personal story, built by our brains, always a little bit unique to us. It reminds us that our personal truth is a very powerful thing, and it's always being written. Why the same event feels different. Have you ever been with a friend, both seeing the exact same thing happen, but then when you talk about it later, your stories are completely different? It's almost like you weren't even there together, but you were. So, here's the thing. Even though reality feels solid, our personal experience of it is anything but. Our brains are not just cameras recording events. Instead, they are more like skilled artists, painting a picture based on what they think is important, what resonates with them. They filter everything through our memories, our feelings, and what we already believe to be true. This means that outside world enters our minds, but it gets colored and shaped by our own unique inside world. It's why an event, say a sudden fire drill at school, can feel so different for everyone involved. For one student, maybe it was a terrifying moment of loud alarms and confusion, bringing up old fears they didn't even know they had. For another, it might have been an exciting break from a boring lesson, a chance to get outside. For someone else, it was just an annoyance, a waste of time, because they were focused on their phone or their next class. The drill itself was the same, a series of sounds and actions happening to everyone in the building at the same time. But what each person took from it, how it felt in their gut, was unique and true for them. Philosophers, for a very long time, have thought deeply about this. Even ancient Greek thinkers questioned if we ever truly see the world as it is, or only as it appears to us through the lens of our minds. They suggested that our minds are not just mirrors reflecting reality, but also sculptors, actively shaping what we see and hear, sometimes adding to it, sometimes taking away. So when someone tells you their version of something you both lived through, and it doesn't quite match yours, remember this: they aren't lying. They are simply sharing the reality their mind created for them. Understanding this can help us see the world, and each other, with more kindness and curiosity. It means everyone holds their own unique piece of truth, and that makes the world a much deeper, more interesting place to explore. The shadow that looked like a monster. Have you ever stared into a dark room, maybe late at night, and seen something scary? A pile of clothes, a strange shape in the corner, suddenly looks like a monster, doesn't it? For a moment, your heart races. You feel that it's real, but then, you turn on the light, and poof, it's just your laundry. What happened in that moment? Your brain played a trick. It took shadows and made a monster. This simple experience teaches us something truly deep about reality. We often think reality is this solid, unchanging thing, the exact same for everyone. But here's the thing, our brains are always working hard, interpreting sights and sounds, constantly filling in the blanks. What we see or hear is often a mix of what's out there and what our brain expects or fears. It's like we all see the world through our own unique lens. People have thought about this for thousands of years. Long ago, thinkers asked, do we truly see the world as it is? Or are we always experiencing it through a kind of personal filter? Imagine you and a friend looking at the same painting. You might see powerful colors and feel calm, while your friend sees something chaotic and feels anxious. The painting hasn't changed, but your experience is totally different. It's like looking at clouds on a sunny day. One person sees a fierce dragon, another a fluffy sheep, and someone else just sees a big, white cloud. The cloud itself doesn't change shape, but what we perceive it to be changes completely. Our feelings, memories, mood, they all tint the way we view the world. So, that monster in the shadows wasn't really there, but for a moment, it was incredibly real to you, because your mind created it. This helps us understand reality isn't only found out there in the physical world. A big part of it lives inside our own minds. It's built from our senses, thoughts, beliefs, and past experiences. So, the next time you see something strange in the shadows, remember, your mind is always busy creating your world, moment by moment, and what you create might be very different from what someone else sees or believes to be true. How your beliefs guide your actions. Think about it. What truly guides your steps each day? It's not just random choices you make. Often, it's your beliefs. Our beliefs are like invisible lenses we wear. They shape how we see the world, how we understand what happens, and what we think is possible. These aren't just big, complicated ideas. They are often tiny, quiet truths we hold about ourselves, about other people, and about how life works. People have pondered this for thousands of years, from ancient thinkers in Greece to wise storytellers in communities all over the world. They noticed this deep connection. They saw that what we truly believe in our hearts and minds often shapes the paths we walk. If you believe the world is a dangerous place, you might act more cautiously. If you believe people are generally good, you might be more open and trusting. This isn't just a new thought. It's an old wisdom, passed down through time. Here's how it works in daily life. Imagine a student getting ready for a big test. If they truly believe they can learn the material, even if it feels tough, they will study differently. They'll spend more time, ask questions, maybe even look for extra help. Their belief in their own ability pushes them to take certain actions. But here's the problem. If they believe they're just not good at math, no matter what, they might barely try at all. Why bother, right? That belief, whether it's fully true or not, directly leads to less effort. And that lack of effort then affects their grade. So, the belief creates the reality for them. So, here's the thing. Our actions are more than just simple choices. They are often like echoes of what we hold true deep inside ourselves. What we truly believe about the world, and about our place in it, constantly pushes us forward. This means we have a quiet but powerful choice. We can think about what beliefs we're holding. We can consider if they are truly helping us, or if they are holding us back. It's a way of understanding that our inner world isn't separate from our outer one. They are always connected, always talking, shaping what happens next. And that's why it matters, because knowing this can help us create a life that feels more real to us, more like the person we want to be. The feeling of floating in sleep. Have you ever been lying in bed, just on the edge of sleep, when your body feels like it's lifting, or maybe gently falling? It's that strange, weightless moment right before you drift away completely. Your eyes are closed, your body is still, but your mind feels like it's detached, floating free. Here's the thing. This isn't just your imagination. It's a real experience many people have as they transition from being awake to being asleep. For a long time, people wondered about this feeling. Some ancient thinkers, like those in Greece or India, believed that when you felt this way, your spirit or soul might be leaving your body. They saw dreams and these pre-sleep moments as windows into other worlds, or proof that our minds are separate from our physical bodies. It was a way for them to understand how something so deep and real could happen without moving an inch. They thought it showed how our inner experience could be so different from what our physical senses told us. Think about it like this. Imagine you're riding in a car, and you pass under a huge old bridge. For a brief second, even if the road is flat, your body might feel a tiny bounce, like the car is suddenly lighter. Your senses might trick you into feeling a quick drop or lift. That's a physical example of how our perception can shift. In sleep, it's a similar, but much deeper, feeling. Your brain is letting go of its grip on your body's position, making you feel as if gravity itself has gone quiet. This feeling, this brief moment of disconnect, reminds us that our reality isn't always solid. It shows us how powerful our minds are in creating what we feel, even when there's no actual movement. It's like a quiet whisper telling us that the world inside our heads is just as real, and sometimes even more surprising, than the one we touch and see every day. It makes us wonder, if our brains can create the feeling of floating, what else can they show us that challenges what we think we know? When your stomach knows before you do. Voiceover. Have you ever felt a strange twist in your stomach? A quiet alarm bell ringing in your gut before you even knew why? It's that feeling, deep down, that something isn't quite right. Or maybe that something wonderful is about to happen. Your body seems to react, sending signals, before your brain can put a name to the emotion or the situation. It's like your stomach has its own secret language, telling you things your conscious mind hasn't caught up with yet. This isn't just a weird sensation. Here's the thing. People have talked about gut feelings for thousands of years. Even ancient thinkers, long before science, noticed this. They noticed how big feelings settled in the belly. Some even believed the stomach or heart was the center of thought, not just the brain. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is reality truly only what we see and think, or does our body pick up on something else, something deeper, a hidden layer of truth? Think about it this way. You're about to walk into a room. Suddenly, your stomach clenches, a knot forms, even though you haven't seen anything wrong. Then, a moment later, you realize a friend is upset, or the atmosphere feels tense. Your gut felt it first. It picked up on tiny clues, maybe a shift in light, a faint sound, or even just a subtle change in the air pressure. Things your conscious mind just didn't register. Your body processed those tiny signals fast, alerting you before your brain connected the dots. This suggests our reality isn't just about what we logically process. It's also a constant, quiet conversation happening within us, a wisdom in our very cells. So, when your stomach knows before you do, it might be showing you that reality is richer, more connected, and far more subjective than we imagine. It's a gentle reminder that some truths are felt, not just thought. We are always navigating a world that whispers its secrets to our deepest parts. The colors you can't describe. Have you ever wondered if there are colors our eyes simply can't see? Or, even stranger, colors we do see but could never truly describe to someone else? Here's the thing, our eyes are amazing, but they are also limited. They pick up only a tiny part of all the light waves zipping around us. Animals like bees can see ultraviolet light, which looks like brilliant patterns on flowers to them. We can't. And there's infrared light, which we mostly feel as heat. So, a whole world of colors exists that our eyes simply can't detect. But here's a deeper idea. Even the colors we can see, like the blue of the sky or the red of a stop sign, might be experienced differently by each of us. How do you know that the blue I see feels the exact same way as the blue you see? We learn color names and agree on what to call them. But what if my internal blue feels more like your internal green? Even if we both say blue pointing at the sky. Thinkers have wondered for centuries if our private inner experiences are truly shared. Are we living in unique, colorful realities, even looking at the same things? It's like trying to describe the exact taste of your favorite food to someone who has never tried it. You can tell them it's sweet or crunchy, but can you truly make them feel that specific taste? No, you can't. It's personal. Color can be like that. We can point to it, name it, but the inner feeling of redness or blueness is something deeply personal. Something you might not ever be able to fully share or describe. So, the next time you look at something colorful, pause for a moment. Think about how truly unique your personal experience of that color is. It reminds us that our reality isn't just about what's out there, but also how our own minds and senses interpret it. It makes the world a more mysterious and deeply personal place, full of beautiful experiences that belong only to us. Why, your voice sounds weird to you. Have you ever recorded your own voice on a phone, then played it back? It almost never sounds like you, does it? That voice on the recording can feel strange, almost like a stranger is talking. Here's the thing, that recording is actually how everyone else hears you. The voice you hear inside your own head is different. This happens because of how sound travels. When you speak, the sound waves go out into the air. That's how other people hear you. We call this air conduction. But when you talk, the sound also makes the bones in your head vibrate. Those vibrations travel directly to your inner ear. This is called bone conduction. So, you hear your own voice through two paths at once, through the air around you, and through the bones inside you. The bone vibrations add a lower, deeper quality to your voice. When you listen to a recording, you're only hearing the air conduction version, without that extra bone vibration. It's like hearing your voice without its familiar internal bass. Think about how music sounds when you wear big headphones versus when you play it on speakers. With headphones, the sound vibrates right into your head, feeling more direct and sometimes deeper. On speakers, it's just the sound in the air. Your own voice is kind of like that. You always hear the headphone version, plus the speaker version. Everyone else only gets the speaker version. This idea that what's inside is different from what's outside isn't new. People have wondered about it for a very long time. It shows us something quiet but powerful. Even the sound of your own voice, something so personal, isn't exactly the same for you as it is for anyone else. It's a small reminder that our reality, the world we experience, is truly unique to each of us. What seems real to you might sound a little different to someone standing right next to you, and that's okay. The dream where you could fly. Have you ever soared through the sky in a dream? Wind rushing past, the ground shrinking below. For a moment, it feels completely real, right? Your body moves, your mind truly believes you are flying. Then you wake up. Suddenly, the impossible is impossible again. But here's the thing, while you were dreaming, that flight was your reality. It felt as solid as the bed you woke up in. This common experience, dreaming, shows us something deep about reality. It shows what we think is real can shift, just depending on our state of mind. For thousands of years, people wondered about dreams. Ancient cultures, like the Egyptians and Greeks, often believed dreams were messages from gods or visits to other worlds. They thought dreams were not just random thoughts, but a different kind of real place. They felt these dream worlds were as real, or sometimes more real, than waking life. This idea hints that reality isn't one fixed thing for everyone. It's something we shape inside our own minds. Think about this. Imagine a truly scary nightmare. You wake up with your heart pounding, maybe sweating. Even though you know it wasn't real, the fear feels very real in your body for a while. What happens in your mind, even in a dream, can strongly affect your real-world feelings. So, when you consider how vivid a dream can be, it makes you wonder, what if our waking reality is also just one way our minds make sense of things? What if there are other realities our brains can create or even visit? It makes you think that maybe reality isn't a hard, unchanging wall. Maybe it's more like a soft, shifting cloud, shaped by our own thoughts and experiences. How one word can change everything. Have you ever stopped to think about how much power just one single word can hold? It's kind of amazing. A small word, a quiet word, can completely flip how we see something. It can change a whole story, a whole feeling, or even what we understand about the world around us. It's like changing one small piece in a big puzzle. Suddenly, the whole picture looks different. Here's the thing. People have debated the meaning of single words for thousands of years. Think about old laws or important books from long ago. Scholars would spend their lives arguing whether a word meant must or may. That small difference could decide huge things, like if someone absolutely had to do something, or if they just had the choice. Philosophers, people who think deeply about life, often say that language isn't just how we describe reality. They believe our words actually help build the reality we experience. If you don't have a word for a feeling, is it harder to even feel it or talk about it? Consider this example from your own life. Imagine you promise to help a friend with a project. If you say, "I'll help you tomorrow," that's a clear plan. But what if you said, "I'll help you soon"? The word soon changes everything. It makes the promise less fixed, more open. Or think about science. When scientists use the word evidence, it means something very specific, facts that prove a point. If they used idea instead, the whole meaning of their work would shift. An idea is just a thought, but evidence points to something real and provable. It makes the discovery seem more certain. So words are not just sounds or letters. They are powerful tools. They shape our thoughts, they guide our actions, and they quietly, deeply, affect how we understand what is real and true. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if we picked our words with even more care, knowing the quiet power each one holds? How might our world, and our understanding of it, shift then? The power of suggestion. Have you ever wondered how much of what you feel or see is actually real, and how much your mind just decides? Here's the thing. Our brains are incredibly powerful. They don't just record the world. They interpret it, fill in gaps, and sometimes even create experiences based on what they expect or what they are told. This is the power of suggestion. Think about it this way. For centuries, people knew that words and beliefs could really affect us. Ancient healers and philosophers, even before modern science, saw how believing in a cure was sometimes as important as the cure itself. It's not magic. It's a deep link between our thoughts and bodies. The clearest example of this in science is the placebo effect. Imagine someone sick gets a pill. It's not real medicine, just sugar. Yet, if they believe it's powerful medicine, they might actually start feeling better. Their headache goes, or energy comes back. The pill didn't do it. Their mind did, simply because it was told it would work. This isn't just about medicine. Maybe you hear a creak in an old house at night. If someone told you it was spooky, your mind might jump to ghosts. Shadows seem to move. Sounds seem to whisper. Your expectation, born from a suggestion, changes your entire experience of that moment. What you think is true often becomes your personal truth. So, it makes you wonder, how much of reality is shaped not by facts, but by the quiet whispers of suggestion and our own beliefs. It means our world isn't just out there. A big part of it is built right inside our heads. And that's amazing to think about. Seeing patterns where there are none. Asterisk, asterisk, seeing patterns where there are none. Asterisk, asterisk, ever stared at a cloud and seen a clear shape, like a dog or a dragon, or a stain that looked just like a face? This is a common trick our brains play, seeing patterns where there are none. Our minds are incredible at finding order, at connecting dots. For early humans, a pattern in rustling leaves might have signaled danger. It's a survival skill. But sometimes, this skill works overtime. We find patterns even in random things. Our brains want to make sense of the world so much, they often create meaning where none exists. Think about people long ago. They gazed at the night sky, at countless scattered stars. No lines connected them, yet people imagined shapes, hunters, bears. They created constellations. This wasn't about what was truly there, but how humans made stories from chaos. Philosophers wondered, is what we see truly independent, or shaped by our mind's need for meaning? It happens every day. You might listen to a song backward and hear secret messages, or you see bad luck and believe certain numbers are cursed. Maybe your favorite sports team wins, and you think it's because you wore your lucky socks. The win wasn't the socks, of course, but your brain connects the two, trying to find a pattern. This is how superstitions begin. We pick events that fit our idea and ignore all that don't. So next time you spot a face in the moon, or a shape in spilled coffee, pause. It's a quiet reminder our brains are always building reality. They don't just receive information. They are active creators, finding meaning, sometimes inventing it. It makes us wonder how much of real is truly out there, and how much is a beautiful, necessary pattern created inside our minds. This thought shows our minds actively shape the world we experience. The smell of rain to different people. Have you ever thought about the smell of rain, that scent that rises after a storm? Almost everyone knows this smell. But here's the thing. Does everyone smell it the exact same way? That unique smell has a name, petrichor. It comes from an oily compound released by plants in dry times, and from a chemical called geasmin, made by soil bacteria. When raindrops hit the ground, they trap tiny air bubbles. These bubbles burst, carrying scents into the air. Pretty cool science. But how we feel that smell can differ. For some, it brings calm. For others, it signals the end of a hot day. Some people barely notice it. Others find it very strong. It's not just about what you like. It's how your brain understands what your senses tell it. For a long time, people have wondered about this. Our senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, how we know the world. If your senses pick up things differently, the world you see or smell isn't quite the same. It makes you wonder what's truly real. It's like cilantro. Most people find it fresh and citrusy, but for about 10% of people, it tastes like soap. Yes, soap. This isn't an act. It's a small gene difference. This changes how they smell and taste it. So, they literally taste a different reality for cilantro. The smell of rain is similar. It shows us that even a common scent is a personal experience. It makes you think that what we share can be a unique journey for each person inside their own mind, and that's why it matters. It teaches us that everyone's reality, built on shared things, is truly their own. Why the cold feels colder to you. Have you ever shivered when your friend next to you feels perfectly fine? Or maybe you're bundled up while someone else is wearing a t-shirt in the same room. Here's the thing, cold isn't just a number on a thermometer, it's also a feeling, and that feeling is deeply personal. Think about it this way. For a long time, people believed that what they saw and felt was exactly how the world was. But wise thinkers, even way back, started to wonder if our senses might play tricks on us. They realized that the redness of an apple isn't really in the apple itself. It's how our eyes and brains process light bouncing off it. Cold is a bit like that red color. Your body is a complex machine. How fast your body burns energy, your metabolism, plays a big role. Someone with a faster metabolism might feel warmer because their body creates more heat, but it's also about your past experiences. If you grew up somewhere very warm, a slight chill might feel freezing. Someone from a colder place might barely notice it. Imagine touching a metal doorknob and a wooden table in the same room. The metal feels much colder, right? But here's what I found. They are actually the exact same temperature. The metal just pulls heat away from your hand faster, tricking your skin into thinking it's colder. So, your hand isn't measuring the actual temperature, but how quickly heat moves. This shows us something deep. Our reality isn't just a fixed picture everyone sees in the same way. It's woven together by our unique bodies, our past memories, and how our senses interact with the world in that moment. The cold you feel is real to you, in your bones and your mind, and that's why it matters. It reminds us that each person lives in their own slightly different version of the same world. The story everyone believes, but is it true? Have you ever wondered if the way you see the world is truly how everyone else sees it? We share common ideas and stories about how things work. These shared understandings form what we call reality. But sometimes, what everyone believes isn't the full truth. It might just be one way of seeing things. For a long time, people believed the earth was flat. They even thought it was the center of the universe. The sun, moon, and stars, they believed, all moved around us. This idea made sense from what they could see. It was the story everyone knew and taught. It felt like a solid fact, but we know now that wasn't the whole story. People like Copernicus and Galileo, using new thinking, showed us something different. The earth is round, and it goes around the sun. This wasn't just a new fact. It changed how humans understood their place in the universe. Their reality completely shifted. Think about it. Imagine you and a friend watched the same movie. You both saw the same scenes. But when you talk later, your friend might say it was exciting, while you thought it was sad. You both experienced the same event, yet your reality of that movie was different. Your feelings shaped what you took away. And that's why this idea matters. Our beliefs, even the ones we think are rock solid, are sometimes just widely accepted stories. They are powerful because many people agree, but they can also change. This means we should always keep our minds open. It reminds us to be curious, to ask questions. It helps us understand that reality, both ours and others, can always be explored. More deeply, it invites us to think about what other truths we might one day discover. How your past changes your present. Have you ever stopped to think about how much of your past is actually with you right now? It's a strange thought, isn't it? We often talk about leaving things behind, moving forward. But here's the thing, your past isn't just a collection of old memories stored away. It's more like the invisible dye that colors everything you see and do today. Think about it. Every experience you've ever had, big or small, has added a layer to who you are. The books you've read, the conversations you've had, the mistakes you've made, even the small moments of joy or sadness, they all blend together. Ancient thinkers, long ago, wondered about this. They understood that our minds aren't blank slates. Instead, our minds are constantly being written on, like a story building up page by page. This story, your personal history, doesn't just sit there, it actively shapes how you interpret new situations. It forms your beliefs, your habits, even your gut reactions. Here's an example that might work for you. Imagine you once tried a certain kind of food, say, an exotic fruit, and it made you feel a little sick. Years later, even if you can't quite remember the details, your brain might have a subtle, automatic negative response when you see that fruit again. You might just feel a slight unease, a quiet no thanks. That past experience, though minor, subtly influences your present choice, your present feeling. It's not just about remembering. It's about a deep-seated programming that happens without you even noticing. Your brain is a vast library, and every book read affects how you understand the next one. So, your past isn't a separate country you visited and left. It's part of the very ground you walk on, the air you breathe. It's the silent architect of your present self, shaping your perceptions, your reactions, your entire experience of reality. Understanding this can help you see why you think and feel the way you do. It shows that your personal story is always being written, and the earlier chapters are never truly closed. They're always echoing, gently, into today. The comfort of a favorite blanket. Have you ever thought about why your favorite blanket feels so incredibly good? It's more than just soft fabric, isn't it? It has a certain weight, a familiar smell, maybe even a tear or a faded spot that makes it uniquely yours. When you wrap yourself in it, the whole room can feel different, safer, calmer. Here's the thing. That feeling is a real example of how our reality can be personal, even subjective. The blanket itself is just cloth. But for you, it's a source of deep comfort. It creates a small bubble of safety. And in that bubble, the world outside seems less scary, or perhaps just a bit softer. Your internal state literally changes the external world you experience. Ancient thinkers, and even modern psychologists, have explored this idea for a long time. They understood that our inner world, our feelings, our memories, our expectations, doesn't just react to the outside world. It actually shapes how we experience it. It's like our brains are constantly filtering and interpreting what our senses tell us, based on how we feel. Your current mood acts like a lens. Think about it this way. Imagine you're in a new, unfamiliar place at night. Every creak, every shadow might seem threatening. Your brain is on high alert. But then, if someone hands you your favorite blanket, suddenly that same creak might just be the house settling. That shadow is just a familiar shape. The physical world hasn't changed, but your perception of it has completely shifted. Your feeling of comfort actually changed what was real to you in that moment. So, the comfort of that blanket shows us something profound. Reality isn't just a fixed set of facts, existing completely outside of us. A part of it is built right inside us, colored by our emotions and our experiences. It teaches us that our inner landscape, our feelings of safety and comfort, can truly make our outer world feel like a different place. It's a quiet reminder of how connected our inner and outer worlds truly are, shaping what we believe to be real. Why music sounds better sometimes. Have you ever put on a song, one you know really well, and suddenly it just hits differently? It sounds better, somehow deeper, more real than before. You feel it in a new way. But the song itself didn't change, did it? Here's the thing. Music isn't just sound waves hitting your ears. It's also what's happening inside you. Your mood, your memories, the very moment you're in. These things color how you hear every note. Imagine a song like a plain picture. Your feelings are the colors you add. Long, long ago, people understood this. Ancient Greek thinkers, for example, didn't just see music as noise. They believed it had a powerful connection to our souls and the way the universe worked. They knew music could change our feelings, push us to act, or make us peaceful. For them, music's true power wasn't just in the instruments. It was in the human heart that received it. Think about a favorite song from when you were little. Maybe it was a happy, bouncy tune. But what if you hear it now, years later, when you're feeling a bit quiet or thoughtful? The same notes play, but the song might feel nostalgic, maybe even a little sad. Your past experiences and current feelings wrap around the sound. The song itself is the same, but your experience of it is totally new. That's why your favorite pump-up song for sports sounds amazing before a game, but maybe just loud when you're trying to read. This shows us something quiet, but important, about how reality works. The world outside us, with its sounds and sights, isn't always fixed. Our inner world, our emotions, our memories, our thoughts, mixes with what's out there. It adds layers of meaning. So, when you listen to music, it doesn't just enter your ears, you also enter the music. It becomes a personal, unique moment. And in those moments, reality feels a little less solid, a little more shaped by your own unique spirit. It's a gentle reminder that what we feel can truly shift what we hear and even what we see. The idea that started small. Have you ever stopped to truly think about how you see the world around you? We all seem to live in the same place, walk on the same ground, breathe the same air. But what if your same reality is actually a little bit different from mine, in ways we rarely consider? This isn't just a strange thought. It's a deep idea that started very, very small, long ago. For thousands of years, most people believed reality was a solid, unmoving thing, like a colossal mountain, always the same for everyone. But then, quiet questions began to stir. Wise thinkers, from ancient Greece to Eastern lands, started to wonder, are we truly seeing things exactly as they are? Or are we seeing them filtered through the unique lens of our own minds and experiences? They started to suggest that our minds don't just passively receive reality. Instead, maybe our minds actively help create a version of it. It's like our brains are brilliant editors, taking in all the raw sensory information, sights, sounds, smells, and carefully assembling it into a story that makes sense specifically to us. So, what you experience as real might not be exactly the same for me. Here's what I mean. Simply, imagine two friends walking through a park on a rainy day. One friend might feel the chill, see the gray skies, and think, this is a gloomy, depressing day. The other friend, walking right beside them, might feel the cool mist, smell the fresh earth, and think, this is a beautiful, peaceful day. They are in the exact same park, under the exact same rain, but their inner experiences, their memories, their moods, their outlook create two completely different realities of that moment. One person's gloomy is another person's beautiful. So, the very first gentle crack in the idea of one single, fixed reality came from simply noticing this profound difference in our inner worlds. It hints that what we call real isn't just out there, waiting to be perfectly discovered. It's also deeply and personally connected to us, to our unique way of seeing, feeling, and understanding. And that's why it truly matters. Accepting this can help us look at the world and understand each other with a little more wonder, curiosity, and empathy. When reality feels like a dream, have you ever woken up from a really vivid dream? For a few moments, you might not have been quite sure if you were still dreaming or if you were truly awake. That fuzzy feeling, where the line between what's real and what's imagined suddenly blurs, is something many people experience. It makes you pause and wonder, how much of what we call reality is actually just our brain's best guess? And what does it mean if our personal reality feels different from someone else's? Think about it. Our eyes see light, our ears hear sounds, and our skin feels touch, but it's our brain that puts all those millions of signals together. It stitches them into a seamless story, creating the picture, the movie, of the world around us. But what if that movie isn't exactly what's out there in the world itself? What if it's a specific version, shaped by our past experiences, our current feelings, and even our expectations? Long ago, some deep thinkers started asking big questions about this. They wondered if everything we experience might just be a powerful, ongoing dream, or perhaps a clever illusion. One famous idea involved doubting everything you thought was real, until you found something you absolutely could not doubt. The only thing the thinker could be truly sure of was that he was thinking. And if you're thinking, you must exist, right? It sounds like a puzzle, but it's about recognizing how our own awareness is sometimes the most solid thing we have. Take something simple you might have seen, like a common optical illusion. You look at two lines, and one seems clearly longer than the other, even though a ruler would tell you they're exactly the same length. Your brain is interpreting those lines based on the other shapes around them. What you see isn't quite the full truth. Or think about a time you vividly remembered a moment, only to find out later that it happened a bit differently, or maybe not exactly how you pictured it. Our memories can play tricks, sometimes making us question what truly occurred. This isn't about saying nothing is real, or that everything is fake. Instead, it's about understanding that our personal experience of reality is deeply, profoundly personal. It's constantly being filtered and created through our own unique minds. The world you see and feel, the one inside your head, is a version built just for you. And that's a pretty amazing, and sometimes very dreamlike, thought to hold on to. The taste of water, surprisingly different. Have you ever really thought about the taste of water? Most of us would probably say, water just tastes like water. Clear, refreshing, simple. But here's the thing, it often doesn't. Not really. Think about it. The water from your kitchen tap tastes different from the water at a friend's house across town. And that bottled water from the store, it's another taste entirely. Even the water you drink right after brushing your teeth feels completely unlike a sip before breakfast. This isn't just your imagination. What's actually going on here? It's not simply about the tiny minerals in the water itself, though those definitely play a part. It's also very much about you, your body's chemistry, what you just ate, even how you're feeling at that moment can change how water tastes to you. This simple, everyday experience points to a much bigger, older idea. For a very long time, thinkers have wondered if what we truly experience is the real world, or just our own personal version of it. They believed our minds interpret things. Imagine two people drinking from the exact same glass of water. One person just ate a sour candy. The other just had a sweet cookie. Their experience of that water will be completely different. The water itself hasn't changed at all, but their perception of it has shifted dramatically. Their taste buds, their memories of flavor, even the acid levels in their mouth, are unique in that moment. This means that even something as basic as water, something we all need to survive, something that seems utterly objective and the same for everyone, is actually filtered through our individual senses and past experiences. The world pours itself into us, and we, in turn, color it with our own being. It reminds us that our personal reality, built on countless tiny perceptions, is perhaps unique to each of us. Our experience of the world might always be a little different from anyone else's, even when we're looking at the very same thing. And that's a deep thought to hold, isn't it? It suggests that reality, even in its simplest forms, might be more personal than we imagine. How our brains create our world. Have you ever stopped to think about how you actually see the world around you? It feels like we just open our eyes, and there it is. Right. But here's the thing. Your brain isn't just a simple window. It's more like a master artist, constantly painting your reality. Our eyes take in light. Our ears pick up sound vibrations, and our skin feels pressure. These are just raw signals, like pieces of a puzzle. Your brain takes them and gets to work. It pieces things together, adds missing bits, and even guesses what should be there based on what you already know. It's like it's saying, this must be a tree. It builds a picture in your mind, one you then believe is reality. Philosophers have thought about this for thousands of years. Back in ancient Greece, thinkers like Plato wondered if what we see is really the truth, or just shadows on a cave wall. He imagined people chained in a cave, seeing only shadows and believing they were real. This reminds us that our experience is always filtered through our senses, and most importantly, our brain. Think about optical illusions. You know those pictures where lines look bent but are actually straight, or a vase looks like two faces. Your eyes send the same information to everyone, but your brain struggles to make sense of it. Sometimes it flips between two ideas, showing how it can be fooled. This shows us that what we see isn't always a perfect copy of the outside world, and this is why it matters. If our brains are actively creating our world, then each of us lives in a slightly unique version of reality. Your world, in a very real way, is your own amazing creation, built moment by the incredible work inside your head. It makes you wonder about the millions of tiny differences in how we each experience life, doesn't it? The power of expecting something. Have you ever noticed how a simple thought, a quiet expectation, can strangely shift the world around you? It's a bit like tuning a radio. We believe we just hear what's there, but our expectation often helps us pick up certain signals, sometimes even creating them. Our minds are not just passive receivers of reality, they're active shapers. This idea that what we expect can influence what we experience is a truly old one. Ancient thinkers often wondered if our inner world was just as real as the outside, and if one could push on the other. Later, science gave us a clearer view with something called the placebo effect. Imagine someone feeling sick. They're given a sugar pill, but told it's a powerful new medicine. And guess what? Often, they start to feel better. The pill did nothing, but the belief in the pill did. Their expectation changed their physical reality. It's not magic. It's the body's own healing power, kick-started by the mind. Here's a simpler way to think about it. Imagine you're trying a new food. If your friend tells you, "Oh, this is awful, you'll hate it," before you even take a bite, you're probably going to taste it with that negative idea already in your head. And often, you will find it awful, even if, on its own, it's perfectly fine. But if your friend says, "This is amazing, you have to try it," you'll approach it with curiosity, maybe even excitement, and you might just discover you really like it. The food itself hasn't changed, but your experience of it has. Your expectation actually changed your taste perception. So, what does this tell us? It suggests that our inner landscape, our hopes, our fears, our quiet expectations plays a much larger role in shaping our perceived reality than we often realize. It whispers that the world we experience isn't just out there. It's also partly woven from the threads of our own minds, reflecting back what we've dared to imagine, or even just quietly assumed. This makes our thoughts not just private things, but powerful forces, shaping the very nature of what we call real. Why we see faces on the moon. Have you ever looked up at the full moon and sworn you could see a face looking back at you? Maybe it was a person, or a rabbit, or something else entirely. It's a common experience, seen by people across the world, for thousands of years. But here's the thing, the moon doesn't actually have a face, so why do we see one? This isn't just about the moon, it happens everywhere. We see shapes in clouds, or a surprised face in the plug socket. Our brains are always trying to find patterns, to make sense of the world around us. This is a very old part of how humans think. Long ago, before science, people looked at the stars and saw heroes, animals, and gods. They connected the dots, turning random points of light into stories and constellations. They saw meaning in the chaos, just like we see a face on the moon. This tendency is called pareidolia. It's not a trick of the eyes, but a function of the mind. Our brains are built to quickly recognize faces because it was super important for survival. Spotting a friend or a threat quickly made a big difference. So, when presented with vague or random shapes, our brain's face detection system might kick in, even when there's no actual face there. Think about looking at a piece of burnt toast and seeing a familiar image. That's your brain doing its pattern-finding work. So, when we see a face on the moon, it's not the moon showing us something specific. It's our own minds creating that image, shaping our reality in that moment. It shows us how powerfully our perception works, always interpreting, always making meaning. The moon stays the same, but what we see in it can change from person to person, reflecting not the moon itself, but the human mind looking back. It's a quiet reminder that what we perceive isn't always what truly is. The sound of silence in a crowd. Have you ever been in a really noisy place, like a crowded lunchroom or a busy street, but suddenly felt like everything went quiet, like you were in your own little bubble, and all sounds around you just faded away? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Even with people everywhere, your world can feel completely silent. Here's the thing, reality isn't just what's happening outside, it's also very much what's happening inside your head. Your brain constantly works to make sense of the world. Sometimes it focuses so intensely on a thought or feeling that it almost turns down the volume on everything else. This isn't about being deaf, it's your mind creating its own reality, even if just for a moment. Old philosophers discussed this for centuries. They knew our minds interpret and shape what our senses bring. They believed true understanding came from looking inward, finding a quiet place inside, no matter the outside noise. Think of meditation. People train their minds to find inner peace, that profound silence, even amidst daily chaos. Imagine walking through a school hallway during passing period. It's loud, lockers bang, people shout, but then you suddenly remember something important, like a great idea for a story. For that moment, all the hallway noise disappears. You're still walking, but your ears aren't really processing the sounds. Your mind takes over, creating its own quiet space to think. That's your subjective reality taking priority over the shared, noisy hallway. This ability to find silence in a crowd shows how powerful our individual minds are. It tells us our personal reality can be different from what everyone else experiences. It reminds us true peace often comes from within us, no matter how loud the world outside gets. It proves what we perceive as real can be shaped by our inner world. How feeling sick changes everything. Imagine you wake up one morning and something just feels off. Maybe your head aches, or your throat is scratchy. The world around you seems different. It's not because the world itself changed, but because you changed. Your body is unwell, and suddenly, everything looks, sounds, and feels altered. Here's the thing, when you're sick, your brain filters everything through discomfort. It's like putting on strange glasses that make everything blurry and unpleasant. People have thought about this for a long time. Ancient thinkers, for example, wondered if what we see and feel is truly real, or just how our minds understand things. They knew our bodies play a huge part in how we experience life. When your body isn't working right, your mind's view shifts. Think about a time you had a fever. The bright sun outside felt too harsh. Your favorite food might have tasted like nothing at all, or even bad. Music that usually warms you might have seemed loud and annoying. Your comfortable bed felt hard. Every little noise sounded too big. The clock barely moved. Even walking from one room to another felt like moving through thick mud. It was the same room, the same light, the same sounds. But your experience of them was totally different. Your usual reality warped, just because of a tiny illness. This isn't a trick. It helps us see that our reality isn't just a fixed picture outside us. It's always shaped by what's going on inside our own bodies and minds. A small illness can totally shift our world. It makes you wonder how much of what we call real is actually just a feeling inside us, changing with every little shift. And that's why it matters. It shows how personal our truth really is. The feeling of being watched, alone. Have you ever been completely by yourself? Maybe late at night, in a quiet house, and felt a strange chill. It's that deep feeling that someone is watching. Your skin might prickle. You glance over your shoulder, but there's no one there. The door is locked. You are absolutely alone. Yet, that sensation stays. This is a powerful trick our minds play, showing how our sense of reality isn't always about what's physically present. For thousands of years, people have described this feeling. Ancient cultures often believed in unseen spirits or presences. They might have thought these feelings were actual ghosts or watchful ancestors. But here's the thing. Even today, with all our science, that eerie feeling can still grab us. It reminds us how much our personal experience shapes what's real for us. Think about it like this. Our brains are always trying to keep us safe. They are wired to look for patterns, to find meaning in every sound, every shadow. If you're in a quiet room and a floorboard creaks, your brain instantly tries to figure out what caused it. Did someone walk by? Is it just the house settling? When there's no clear answer, your mind might fill in the blanks. It creates a sense of presence, even if there's nothing there. It's like our inner detective working overtime, sometimes too hard. Your brain creates a story to explain the unexplainable, even if that story isn't objectively true. So, that feeling of being watched, even when you're alone, isn't necessarily a sign of danger. Instead, it's a profound peek into how our minds work. It shows that reality isn't just a fixed thing outside us. It's also built from our perceptions, our fears, our interpretations. Our own consciousness can build worlds, even when the physical world is empty. It's a quiet reminder that the deepest mysteries sometimes lie within our own heads, not just out in the dark. When your mind tricks your body, have you ever felt a sharp pain, maybe in your arm, and you quickly look down, expecting to see a scratch or a bruise? But there's nothing there, just ... the feeling of pain. Or maybe you thought you heard your name called, but no one was around, and you were sure you heard it. Here's the thing. Your mind is incredibly powerful. It's not just a passive receiver of information from your eyes or ears. Instead, it actively works to create your reality. Sometimes, it can even tell your body things that aren't physically happening in the world outside of you. For a long time, many people believed our senses were like simple cameras, just recording everything exactly as it was. But thinkers, even very old ones, started to wonder. They asked if what we feel, taste, and see is always exactly real, or if our brain adds its own unique spin to it. They began to understand that our inner world, our thoughts and beliefs, might have more power than we imagined over our outward experiences. A really clear example of this is something called the placebo effect. Imagine someone is feeling sick, maybe with a nagging headache or a tummy ache. A doctor gives them a tiny pill, but it's just a sugar pill, no actual medicine in it. Yet, the doctor tells them, this will make you feel better. And guess what? A lot of times, the person does start to feel better, not because of the sugar, but because their mind believed it was real medicine. Their brain actually released its own natural pain-relieving chemicals. This isn't just about thinking positive in a simple way. This is your brain literally changing how your body feels. It's like your brain has a hidden control panel for your body's experiences. It can turn pain up or down, or even create sensations that aren't tied to any physical damage in your arm or leg. It truly shows how deeply connected your thoughts are to your physical self. So, what does this tell us about reality? It tells us that the reality we live in, especially how we experience our own bodies, isn't just a fixed thing out there. A really big part of it is built right inside our heads, shaped by our thoughts, our beliefs, and even our expectations. It makes you pause and think deeply about the amazing, sometimes confusing, connection between your mind and your body, and how subjective our experiences can truly be. The sun that feels hotter to you. Have you ever stopped to think about how something as simple as sunlight can feel totally different to two people? The sun is this enormous burning star, billions of miles away. It sends out the same light and heat across our planet every single day. We know this much is true, objectively, but here's the thing. When you step outside into that bright, warm sunlight, does it feel exactly the same to you as it does to your friend standing right next to you? Maybe you just woke up, feeling a bit chilly, and the sun feels like a gentle, welcome hug. It warms you from the inside out. But your friend might have just run a mile. They're already super warm, and that same sun could feel too hot, almost uncomfortable or even annoying. It's the same sun. It's sending out the exact same amount of energy. But how that energy feels to you, how your unique body and mind take it in and interpret it, that's where things get interesting. For a very long time, people thought reality was like one clear picture that everyone saw in exactly the same way. But even ancient thinkers, thousands of years ago, started to wonder about this. They noticed that what seems real often depends on who is doing the seeing or feeling. One person might find a song beautiful, while another finds it loud and irritating. Same song, different experiences. So the sun itself isn't actually changing. What's changing is you in that moment, what your body needs, how you're feeling, even what you've just done. This simple idea shows us that our personal experience, our own unique lens, plays a huge part in how we understand the world. Your reality, in that moment, under that very same sun, might truly be different from someone else's, and that's a deep thought to carry with you. Why two people hear two sides? Why is it that sometimes two people can be right there, experiencing the exact same moment, but walk away with totally different stories? Think about it. You might both see a movie, but you love it, and your friend thinks it's boring. You both hear the same joke, but one of you laughs and the other just shrugs. Here's the thing. Our personal reality is not just about what is happening around us. It's also shaped by what's happening inside us. It's like our minds have these unique filters. The world pours in, but each of us catches it in a slightly different way. For thousands of years, even ancient Greek thinkers wondered about this. They questioned if we ever truly see the world as it is, or only our own unique version of it. It's like standing in a room with 5 windows, and each person looks out a different one. They're all seeing the same world outside, but from a unique angle, with different things in view, or maybe different light. Here's how it works. Our brains are constantly making sense of things. They fill in gaps, remember past experiences, and link new information to old feelings. Imagine listening to a song. You might hear the catchy beat and want to dance, while your friend hears the sad lyrics and feels a little down, and someone else just focuses on how well the bass guitar fits the drums. It's the same sound hitting everyone's ears, but each person's brain picks up on different parts, gives them different importance, or links them to different memories and emotions. This isn't about one person being right and the other wrong. It's about understanding that reality itself can bend and shift just a little for each of us. Our memories, our feelings, our past experiences, they all act like silent editors, shaping what we take in and how we understand it. So, the next time someone sees things differently than you, maybe it's not because they're mistaken, but because their window offers a truly different view. Your own secret world inside. Have you ever stopped to think about how you see the world? Not just with your eyes, but with your mind. Here's the thing. Every single one of us carries around a whole secret world inside our heads. It's built from every memory, every feeling, every sound, and every color we've ever experienced. This inner world acts like a special filter for everything you encounter. Imagine 2 people watching the same cloud float by. One person might see a fluffy sheep, peaceful and calm. The other might see a monstrous, looming dragon, ready to breathe fire. The cloud itself hasn't changed, but the way each person experiences it, the meaning they give it, is completely different. That's your inner world, at work. Philosophers, thinkers from ancient times right up to today, have wrestled with this idea for centuries. They wondered, is the world out there truly one fixed thing for everyone? Or does each person construct their own version of it? Thinkers like Immanuel Kant, centuries ago, suggested our minds aren't just blank slates. Instead, our minds actively shape and organize the information we get from our senses. So, we don't just see a tree. Our minds help build the concept of tree for us, based on all our past knowledge. This means our reality isn't simply handed to us. We're always, unknowingly, helping to create it. Consider how you might feel walking into a new school. On your first day you might feel nervous and small, but a student who has been there for years might feel totally comfortable and in charge. The school building is the same building, but the way each person perceives it, the emotions it sparks, is unique. That's because their inside world is interpreting the situation based on their past, their feelings, their expectations. So maybe reality isn't just one solid thing. Maybe it's more like billions of individual paintings, each created by the unique artist that is your own mind. Understanding this can help you see why others might think or feel so differently than you do. It reminds us that empathy, truly trying to see from someone else's inside world, matters deeply. We all experience our own version of reality, and that's a pretty deep idea to carry with you.